Hey, is this thing working? Are we on?
Check test.
Hello?
Check.
Hello? Hey, how goes it? Ken Bozak here to talk about Bitcoin and Bitcoin accessories. And today I'm streaming with strangers, a friend of mine, Sam King from patchesflows.com. How goes it, bro?
What's up, man? It's great. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come and hang out with me, a stranger, and do my podcast with me. Tell me and my audience a little bit about yourself. About yourself, maybe how you got into crypto and what you're doing now in the world of things.
Yeah, man. Thanks. First, I just want to say thanks for having me. This is my first time doing a podcast, so hopefully
Oh, hold
many to
on.
come.
First podcast, dude.
Yeah,
Cheers.
man. Oh yeah. Cheers to that. We'll make it all the way up to Joe Rogan, man. Maybe one day you, me, and Omar will be on there together.
Yo, Omar on Joe Rogan would be like, fuck, bro. He needs to
That
learn
should
about
happen.
Ethereum. Joe Rogan needs to learn about Ethereum. Unfortunately, Vitalik isn't the guy, and I would fucking hate to be bored by Joseph Lubin on Joe Rogan. So let's send Omar there.
Oh, that would be awesome.
So,
But yeah.
yeah.
So me. Let's see. In my mid 30s, just sort of coasted around through life. But one of the pivotal moments back in the day when World of Warcraft first came out, and I was like, oh, this is some virtual reality type of stuff. I was playing it, and then I randomly heard about this thing called Bitcoin. And I didn't really look into that much, but I downloaded the miner right back in the day, and I started running the miner, and it was like working pretty much plug and play even back then. And then I tried to run World of Warcraft in the foreground, and immediately the whole game started like lagging and chopping. And I was like, what is this crap? And just like closed the Bitcoin miner and then just didn't go back to it for like 8 years. So that was my first introduction to Bitcoin, which is actually a good one, because then when I saw it at $600, I think it was like 50 cents per coin when I was doing that. I saw it 600 each. I was like, whoa, what?
Oh, this
And then I
shit
saw it
became legit, right?
right? And then I saw it at 1900 each, and that's when I was like, what is happening? And then, no exaggeration, I think I studied about 4,000 hours in 2017. So then that's when I started learning some real stuff about it and accumulating.
Wow, man. Yeah, I feel like that's what people need to do when they first see it. Like, no matter when and what and where, if you look at Bitcoin, you look at the price, you have to come back and see it at a bigger price in order to give a fuck. And unfortunately, that's going to happen with the people that got in and when Bitcoin was over 10 grand all the way up to 20. Those people looked at it when it was 10 and 20, $15,000 a Bitcoin, and now they're looking at it at $3,000, $4,000 a Bitcoin, and they're like, oh, when it goes back to a bigger price than what they first saw it at, then they'll give a
100,000.
fuck. Right, exactly. It doesn't matter 50 cents, 600, a dollar to $5, 500, 1,000. It's just human nature. We see things at a value, and until we see that value increase, we're still unsure, uncertain of it, and depending on necessity of the actual use case of that thing, right? Speculation, you just look at the price, unless you need to adopt it and use it firsthand. So I know you beatbox and stuff, man. That's freaking badass, bro. You were just telling me you were at a competition for it.
I went to the World Champs just to spectate, and then they had a 2 week beatbox camp after. I mean, it was life changing. It was like aliens speaking all these different languages. I think 60 countries were represented, and then besides
Wow.
the actual native languages they were speaking all these made up languages and then synthesizing and hybridizing their languages. It was the most inclusive, beautiful community that I've ever seen. Although I haven't been to a crypto meetup yet.
They're not actually. I wouldn't say they're not. Some of them are pretty amazing. I think Dogecoin would probably be comparable to something to that aspect, and Anarcha Poco,
I was just gonna ask, what about Anarcho Polka?
Anarcha Portugal. Is the one I went to. I didn't get to attend Anarcha Poco, but I do see that as probably being life changing. But Anarcha Portugal was amazing. I tried like canna paste and cacao, and I meditated, and it was just like really crazy and interesting. It was stepping outside of my comfort zone and finding I was comfortable in this whole new zone. It was
That's so
really
cool,
cool.
man.
I can't imagine hearing like languages that existed being synthesized into something that is made up in a sense, plus then taking made up languages, synthesizing them, hybriding them with those others. And it just, I guess for me, it makes me start to think about the potential of communication, and the
Yes.
power behind music as a form of language, not just a form of entertainment. Like when I listen to music, a lot of the times I'm not really taking in the lyrics. I'm not like hearing the lyrics. I couldn't repeat the lyrics of a song because the voice is another instrument speaking to me in a tone like a piano. I couldn't speak piano. I guess if I could write and read music, maybe, but that's how I hear like voices in songs is just another instrument in a note, and not so much like for words, but for like, you know, the tone and the sound and the pitch of it and how it blends together with the actual other instrumentals. And, you know, to think of it as an actual language is badass.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, some philosophers say that you know we're all living in a dream, and it is sort of the sound of the universe. I know it's really abstract, but like everything's made of sound, everything's waves and mostly empty space. You know,
I
it's
wonder what Bitcoin sounds like. It
dude, I
has to
had
have a
never
sound.
heard of audio representation of it actually, and I've heard audio representations of so many things.
Well,
That's
couldn't
like
we take the data from the miner and use the binary language to, you know, represent by some form of high tone, low tone frequency? And I'm sure
I'm sure
Bitcoin
it's
has a
possible.
sound. Everything fucking has a sound. Like
Yep.
dead space has a sound. They have like the sound that the sun makes. How's the fucking sun make sound if there's no air in space? That I thought we needed oxygen to have sound, but like, yo, it's everything
No,
has
it's
a
just
sound.
wave pulsations
Right.
through any medium. It doesn't have to be oxygen. You know, sound in ocean, underwater isn't in oxygen; it's in the fluid of the water. And I guess that what we previously thought of empty space isn't even really empty. So I think everything has these mediums that waves travel through, including
Somebody out
time.
there needs to find out what Bitcoin sounds like. That would be amazing.
That's genius, man. That's a great idea, and I'm sure it could be, you know, audioized. I don't know, visualized, audioized, like a lot of different ways too. Because you take the input and then the input movements are going to affect the oscillation. Like our vocals right now is like the chords and they're oscillating, you know, with all these synthesis, they have like a mathematical shape, like a function. It might be a square wave or a saw wave or like a sine wave. And then that's the base oscillation that then all the effects get added onto. So if the blockchain was able to be taken as an input and then permutate oscillations, I mean, it's 100% doable. I'm sure any
Shout out to
mid-level
Young Dumb
programmer.
Crypto. We just found the sound of crypto. It's a thing.
Yeah,
It's a thing right here.
he linked us.
Yeah, I don't know if you'll be able to hear it, but my audience will.
Nice, do it.
It's the fucking price chart. They made music out of the price chart.
Nice.
Oh, dude, that is a fucking beautiful sound. All right, let me link you to this.
God!
Oh God, no!
No! God, please, no! 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 No!
I don't know what's happening, but I like it.
Yes! Oh shit, I needed that. I fucking needed that. Yo, hold on. I'm sending this to you, man. Oh, that was fucking brilliant. Oh, Young Dumb Crypto, I love you. That was brilliant. Dude, oh.
Thanks, Young
Oh,
Dumb.
that was brilliant. I need... Cheers. Cheers, mates. Everybody go head over to Young Dumb Crypto and subscribe to their YouTube channel. God, that was a blessing. Thank you. Thank you.
So this is actually a perfect sort of indicator. So what is it? The whole singularity thing. My understanding of that, and obviously it's been said a lot of times, but my understanding of it is that, you know, people have all these ideas and some of them are cutting edge and some of them are a little behind, and then sometimes someone will have an idea that's literally like a better way for something to be done that no one has thought of yet. And then my understanding of the singularity is the closer we get to that, the shorter the time that when someone has an innovative idea, that idea spreads across the globe. So right now, you know, maybe someone has a great idea, it gets posted, it goes viral, you know, pretty quick, but then it might not get implemented. But in the future, as 3D printers and just all this information exchange, someone has an idea and it's going to like instantly all the coffee cups upgrade. You know what I mean? It's going to be so crazy.
Yeah, the ability to update instantly, right? Like you were saying with the coffee cups and everything. I imagine a world in which, like, even digitally, that will be. Now, I know physically that's amazing, but digitally, even we're still having trouble with that because we have conflicting operating systems and preparatory like knowledge and software that conflict with this ability. I think that, you know, imagine, you know, video games with non-fungible tokens in the same sense, right? Like if I wanted to make Grand Theft Auto You know, if I wanted to make Grand Theft Auto a little bit better by taking the car in the game and changing up some things in it and stuff like that, and basically like forking the content and throw it out there, you'd be able to update it and implement it, or take that non-fungible token and to another racing game and play with it. So I don't know if you're that deep into the non-fungibles and stuff.
Yeah, I mean a little bit. Yeah, I know what you're saying. I'm
Got some
following you.
crypto kitties?
I didn't get any, but I watched it happen for sure.
I got some from DJ Me Popsicle, and I'm sure I could pass one on to you. He wouldn't be upset. He's given me a few. I have enough cats to feed, DJ. I'll send you a crypto kitty. I don't know, random. He sent me a bunch of different gens. I'll hook you up with a good one. You could actually even, that's what another thing I was saying. Like, you take that crypto kitty to a game and use it as like a trading card to battle your friends. Yeah. So, like, I give you the crypto kitty. You can take that kitty and update it or take it and implement it into my Ethereum. And you could play, like, with it as a representation, as a trading card, not just as a plain cat. It's just, you know, cute.
Almost like a Pokemon battle or something like that.
Exactly, something like that.
You know, what I was really sad they rumored was going to happen is one of the Minecraft servers, that old game, was supposed to let you mine Digibyte as you mine the blocks, and it was such a brilliant idea, but then for whatever reason it never came out. So either it was a pump and dump scam, or, you know, whatever it was, I'm not sure. But that's like a really brilliant idea. They could divert some of the processing power while you're running the game, and then, you know, the server would get their cut. So it would make sense for them. But then the player who's already there, just like mindlessly, you know, I don't want to say mindlessly, but just like mining for a long time, would get a little something.
Well, yeah, it's contributing to the network. I don't know why
it's not happening yet.
Well, some are doing it, actually. I'll pop this on the screen for the viewers here. But there's Flappy Bird .bggo.1, and you can earn Tron while playing this game right here.
Nice.
I have to log in. I'm not doing that live.
Have you tried it?
I do. I play, and I've earned Tron TRX just playing Flappy Bird. Oh, and yeah, shout out. I got my Tron shirt on. Oh, shit. Nice. I'm showing Tron way too hard. Buy Bitcoin. Don't buy Tron. Buy Bitcoin.
I'd say Satoshis are more rare, but Tron's cool, though. All these. What do you think of Waves?
I love Waves, dude. Oh, shit. Yo.
I'm a big fan.
Have you made your own Waves coin?
Dude, for sure. I own all of them. So I have this like meaningless patches, and I actually made mana before it came out on the other.
I want to fucking segue real hard back to that where you said you have all of them meaningless. I want to segue real hard back to that in a second.
Yeah, do it.
But yeah, making your own Waves token is so fucking powerful and underappreciated, and the ability to do things like sponsored transactions now. So you know how on Ethereum, if you want to send an ERC20, you have to have Ethereum for gas. Well, imagine being able to have a sponsored transaction feature where that ERC20 token, the creator or whatever, has a batch of those tokens, and they charge you that token to pay the Ethereum gas for you. So they get their token back and in its value compared to Ethereum. They pay the gas for you. It's like they're the network fee payer. So you don't need this gas. You just pay that own token's weight in gas, and they, you know, whatever. So with Waves,
you can peg, if it doesn't have any value, you can peg your coin to whatever Ethereum you're sort of backing it with.
Exactly.
Gas. And if your coin already does have value because you've created some kind of usable system, then its value
minimum the cost of a gas fee transaction. Wow. So yeah, it's really crazy. But so Waves does this already, and Ethereum's still like working on all these, you know, Ethereum 2.0 and sharding and plasma and whatever. I use Waves tokens now that already do this, like Tokes and Coincierge.club. I can use those in Vegas right now to buy alcohol or cannabis legally, get into a club without even waiting in line. All these things that actually exist in Vegas that I use those tokens for, and I can just send them. I don't need Waves. They have sponsored transactions. The tokens itself cost itself to send. And it's just, I don't know, Waves is underappreciated. And the ability like to create your own token takes, what, a minute?
It was the most beautiful user interface I've used of them yet. I mean, it's just
talk about user-friendly on-ramping, and Waves gets no respect. It's fucked up. in my opinion. But maybe, you know, it's the ease of use and all that versus the security. But we're not saying put your net worth into, you know, these tokens or waves. It's not a honeypot of a sense in the, you know, what Bitcoin is.
Did it have issues with security?
No, but I'm saying people may have issues with its security and trust, exactly. And I'm saying, you know, it's not going to replace currency itself, but imagine it replacing things like, you know, loyalty points and rewards or coupons, things of that nature, or tickets that don't necessarily need to be on something so secure and so expensive as Ethereum's blockchain. You know, not every company uses the same law firm as a Fortune 500 company. There's levels of security and risk reward ratios for things to exist. And I think when you're talking about a local store having the ability to make their own coupon or loyalty point for their customers, versus easily versus the cost of the security of using Ethereum's, it's not worth it. So I think like waves and things like Whopper coin for Burger King are just awesome, really awesome. They don't need super security. They just need an open ledger. That would be their Waves token that they created, and it's decentralized. You could use the Waves DEX. They can't centralize the token that they create. You can open market exchange them, peer-to-peer transact a Whopper coin from me to you. Nobody to say yes or no or stop us. Censor resistant. It doesn't, I don't know, just so underappreciated. And I got to talk to a lot of people in Chicago at shout out to Tracy, I think it's Tracy Laparillo, anyway, Untraceable Inc. They put on amazing conferences, and she did one called Loyalty and Royalty Points, and it was in Chicago, and I got to talk to people like McDonald's, American Airlines, one of the big, I can't remember the name, but they're like one of the biggest credit card points providers for like businesses. They work with like Rite Aid and Walmart and other things like that, and they're looking into the ability to basically, the middlemen for them aren't so much banks. The middlemen for them are the moderators of the technologies they use for the coupons, right? Like they have to trust somebody that works at a
centralized systems.
Right, they're centralized systems. So now they're saying, well, how do I know the people we hired to create the coupons aren't backdooring their own coupons and then selling them on the side through things like whatever? I'm like, you're right, you don't. And you don't even know how many coupons probably exist. That's why there's coupon fraud all the time. I remember when I first started looking into 4chan, I found these coupons that would get me an Xbox. All I had to do was pay tax. It worked.
Really?
It worked.
Crazy.
It told the machine when it scanned the barcode, all you have to do is learn how to, you know, learn the language of the scanner and speak to the scanner. Hey, everything off. Pay tax only. That's what it said. Scanned it. That's what it represented. But the coupon wasn't backed by anything. This was... I just started working at that cell phone repair store, so probably like 8 years ago or so, maybe 9 years ago. And they also had some coupons that worked at gas stations for cartons of cigarettes, and all you had to do was pay taxes. So it looked like you got a coupon from like McDonald's, and it said, McDonald's, you won an Xbox. All you have to do is pay tax. Go to your local Walmart. And I was like, get the fuck out of here. No one's going to fall for this. Go to Walmart, 2 a.m., a 24-hour, 24/7 Walmart. 2 a.m., go in late night. Some dude's probably just got done smoking on his lunch break. Got it. So they have a need for this technology. They just need it to be cheaper than the shit they're already using and easier. And, you know, I love Ethereum, but I don't think it's for everything. Like, Bitcoin's not for everything. I tell people all the time, it's like, Bitcoin's a chainsaw and your basement's flooded. Yeah, a chainsaw is a really great piece of technology. It can change your life. You can build cities now that you can chop down trees faster. I get it, but it's not going to help your basement stop flooding. You know what I mean? It's just not for that use case. And that's Ethereum and everything else. It has a use. Stop trying to fit a square peg into a round hole just because you think it will look good, you know, or that's the peg you really like. That's the, you know, it doesn't work. Stop doing it. But I'm going to segue real hard back to that. You have a whole supply of your own token?
Yeah, what did I do? I did 7,777 patches, no ability to make more. And then I did like 100 million mana on waves. So not to be confused with the other mana. Yeah. And, you know, so
mana, like Magic the Gathering game mana?
Yeah, exactly. So I make like leather phone cases and jewelry, and I'm a full-time artist now. I was a waiter for 10 years. So I've brainstormed a few use cases where I start, you know, from a centralized authority, just selling these patches, tokens, and, you know, some X number of tokens is redeemable for like a piece of my art. So there is going to be a use, and I'm going to be able to create a value out of it. Actually, pretty much just like you said, as a token. Man, this is a little bit of a segue. There's this video that's a projection of our future when AR headsets have just replaced smartphones. And this video is on YouTube. It's called Hyper Reality, and the artist spent a year making it, and it is the most realistic, mind-blowing, brutal depiction of this future. And it has it has all these excellent things that are going to be helpful and save us time, and then like halfway through the video, like the person gets hacked, and it's so brutal. I cannot recommend this video enough. Hyper Reality. But they don't emphasize it, but in the beginning she's doing sort of like an Uber. She's like getting someone's groceries, and she doesn't even have her own car, so she's on public transportation. She's like playing some game. She's unhappy with her life, and in the bottom right corner, they don't call them cryptos. They all look like, loyalty tokens, but they are all cryptocurrencies. So there's not even like one currency. It's all like corporate currencies. So the city bus she's on, she earns points for using it. She had to pay with one token, but it gives her like a city token that she can use to pay for her parking and stuff. This is the most brilliant representation. I mean, it's so accurate. Like I see this and I'm like, that
Can
is.
you send me a link to it? I'll pull it up.
Yeah, YouTube. You just go to YouTube, type Hyper Reality.
All right, let's do it.
I can send you the link as well.
Let's do it. YouTube.
I think it's 2 words. Type. Yeah, it is.
Hyper Reality. And it has like the street moving and stuff. Is the street got like augmented reality stuff on it?
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. Yeah, he took a year to make this video. It's crazy. So have you thought, do you remember pagers?
Oh,
are you old enough for pagers, Steve?
Yeah, I had a pager.
You had a pager, dude? Cheers to pagers. Rip.
Yo, this is sick looking. I can't really play the whole video because I'll probably get in trouble. But yeah, guys, check it out.
Watch it on there. I just paste it in the chat too.
So yeah, man, that's pretty badass looking. I mean, that's kind of how I would imagine it to kind of be though, with that whole like utility behind rewards type points, right? Like you're incentivized to use. You could use probably any token, right? But if you use this token to get on the bus, you'll get a kickback, and that kickback will give you a discount somewhere else. You can pay for your parking,
and then you don't have to use your own like BTC or whatever it is, USDC to pay for parking.
I think everybody thinks everything will be represented by a Satoshi or a Bitcoin. And that's not going to be the case unless Bitcoin becomes lobbied in somehow, and regulators start promoting Bitcoin, because we're going to need laws to enforce businesses to mandatorily only and have to accept Bitcoin. No one, not everyone's going to willfully join Bitcoin's community because it's decentralized and it's you have the choice. You don't have to so I don't see Bitcoin being everything, because people have tribalism. That's why we have Dogecoin and everything else. Like I actually was, as soon as you said the mana coin, I was like, yo, I'd be using that when I play Magic. Like I'll bet you 5 mana that I win this hand or something, like, because it doesn't have to be worth anything, right? It's just between you, me, and the game. It doesn't have to have a dollar value.
And it will have a dollar value. Like it will find its dollar value, and maybe it'll be super low, like fraction of a cent, or start at 0. But the moment it's implemented into, say, a Magic game, it will start to gain a value.
Well, maybe not even. Maybe the game never has to even acknowledge it if the people choose so to do it without force. Right? If the game chose to, that's forcing, right? That's saying, hey, you have to use this thing now. That's what we're doing. But when the community chooses to do shit outside of their control, that's where it becomes true peer-to-peer decentralization. And this is where I'm going hard back to that topic, that you have all your fucking coins that are worthless, that are meaningless, because you have them all. But if they were to be given away, even for free, as an airdrop, people would have established a value to them at some point. A penny or so. You can't. Nothing's negative dollars in crypto. I love when I see Bitcoin's going negative. It's going to be under $1,000. It's going to be negative 1,000. Like, it doesn't go under. Nothing. Bitcoin can't go negative. It doesn't go. You can't spend Bitcoin you don't have. It doesn't go down anyway.
Do
I
you know
would
what's
say
the
that if you
current
were,
cost to mine a Bitcoin? Because isn't there the theory that it won't
raised.
drop below its cost to mine?
Well, it does. It does.
Does
And
it?
miners do mine in the negatives, but it depends on where you're mining and what your costs are and everything. But
Yeah.
there's a lot more of
Regionally.
a value to a Bitcoin that a miner mines than the ones that are trading on exchanges like Coinbase. So when a miner mines a Bitcoin, it's a virgin coin. It has no history. You know, they can mine that coin straight to a hard drive like a data
Mhm.
bunker, and it could be on a hardware wallet, and they could give that to you OTC, handing
Mhm.
you a Bitcoin. That increases the value exponentially. So first, the miner's going to set the price, right? Like if I'm digging gold out of the ground, I'm not going to charge you less than it costs to do it in time, labor, and tools. Same thing
Mhm.
for a miner. And then exponential value of desire, right? Supply and demand. You want a Bitcoin that's never hit an exchange. You want a Bitcoin without any history. You want a Bitcoin off the blockchain, just handing it to you. Like I can give you this Bitcoin tangibly, physically in your hands. It
Fine.
increases the value. So I
So
think
let
that
me
these Bitcoin are
interject
being
to
sold a
that.
lot more than what they're being portrayed on the market, because OTC purchases don't reflect on the market. Only the selling of
Yeah.
any Bitcoin bought OTC on the market reflects.
That's so analogous. So, I deal with these different precious metals and stones. So, gold, right? You can go to your local shop and you can buy like a gold ounce coin, and it goes just barely over the spot price. But if you go to some miner, like an actual, like a crystal miner, and he has a gold nugget that he's mined, you're not going to be paying the $1,200 an ounce. It's going to be way more than that, because that's it could, and especially if it's like American mined, if you're an American, or if you're
Oh
European.
yeah, right, true.
So, and I literally, my friend had a
Or
little gold
meteor
nugget.
gold. Whew, you can find gold that came off a meteor, boy. I don't care where you find gold on Earth. That gold might be the same gold in by atom, but by
Yeah,
location, supply and
locale.
demand.
Exactly. I actually bought a piece of Shergotite, which is a Mars meteorite. It was so expensive, bro. And I'm talking, I got like the tiniest little piece. It was hundreds of
So
dollars.
here's my fucking problem with this. You have to now pay to get that, verified. You have to pay somebody to that you trust to inspect it and then tell you that this is a true meteorite from Mars, or this is true 24 karat gold and maybe it may not be, or this is gold from a meteorite and not gold from, a Mexican mine. It doesn't matter, right? It all comes down to having to trust somebody. But when, talking about Bitcoin, go right to the blockchain. It was mined at this block stamp. This is the coin that came out, and it's
Provable,
provable. You don't have to trust
immutable.
anybody. So it totally is more powerful than backing anything by gold, period. Like, somebody goes to try to move gold around. Oh, yeah, I'll buy gold from you. But now it costs less than what you're trying to sell it to me, because I have to go pay somebody else to fucking verify it. I gotta get it authenticated.
I feel you. And I did. I bought from a
So now
source that
you
was
have to
less
add that value to the value you
to the
spent. And
cost.
then the
Yep.
next time you sell it, you wouldn't want to sell it for less than the additional value that you added to it by
It
having
gets
it
priced
audited.
in.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Yeah, and but the thing is, and so if you know that, it doesn't become a detriment, because you just know it, accept it, price it in, and then when I sell it, it's like this confidence come through, because it's the truth. So then the buyers don't seem to mind. Some buyers are like, oh, it's too expensive, but then the real buyers of high end stuff are like, oh, it comes with a certificate, perfect, I'll pay the extra $100.
Yeah, exactly. And then the certificate again is trusting the people behind it. You
From the
know,
centralized source
right?
versus a decentralized blockchain. I tell these people, like, oh, I'm talking to Bitcoin, suggesting they do research in it, like, oh, you don't have to put money in, just like put an hour a week or whatever. And it's like pulling teeth sometimes, just to get people to even to look into it. And then we have the whole conversations done, and I'm like, and by the way, it's also a decentralized, immutable, new form of governance. And they're just like, wait, what? It just blows their
Oh,
mind.
dude, I talk to people about Bitcoin, and they just, kind of think of it only as money. And I'm like, well, it is programmable money. And I've said this a million times, and it's my best analogy for it. But like, programmable money in a tangible, fiat, relatable sense is taking a $20 bill, handing that $20 bill to Banksy, and having him draw on that $20 bill. How much would that $20 bill be worth after that? Now you take some Satoshis and you give that Satoshi to a developer like Jimmy Song. Jimmy Song plays a fucking couple keynotes on that piano of Bitcoin. That Satoshi is now exponentially increased. The only difference is you don't know how many $20 bills are in circulating supply. So it doesn't take any $20 bill out when Banksy draws on it. But when those Satoshis are creating into things that are programmable, not just money, it increases every other Bitcoin behind it, not just the Bitcoin that it was written on. So the $20 bill Banksy drew on did not increase the value of the $20 bill. He did not. But that piece of Satoshi that Jimmy Song develops on increases the value of every Satoshi because it took it out of the supply.
That's trippy.
Fucking insane.
It's so genius, man.
I don't see how people are missing that whole aspect of Bitcoin besides the value of it by being a currency and program and a store of value and cash, digital cash. I'm like, no, it's programmable money first. You taking money out of supply, programming it to do another if this then that utility back into the economy and the ecosystem, exponentially increasing its currency use.
I love it, man. I had some great thought, but now I forgot. My mind's so blown.
Why don't you drop a beat for us, bro? We're at the half-mile mark. Give us some halftime.
Real quick. On that note, real quick, I did prepare something short, a little something for you guys. So I'll do my best here.
Let me mute my mic so we can get a sound bite.
Yo, chest tech. Okay, let's see what we got here. Bozak, Kim Bozak, Bozak, Kim Bozak, Bozak, Kim Bozak. You got to protect your profit, Kim. Bozak, Mr. Kim Bozak, Mr. Kim Bozak, boy, Bozak, Mr. Kim Bozak, Mr. Kim Bozak. Oh, snap. Thank you.
Can I get some clap emojis in the chat, please?
All right,
clap
are you ready for
emojis.
This? Are you ready for this?
Oh, I don't know. I wasn't ready for
ready
that.
For what I'm about to say right now? I embedded 500,000 Satoshis in that beatbox for whoever finds it in your chat. For your audience, I put 500,000 Satoshis in that beatbox that's there for your audience. Because gotta love Bitcoin.
Encrypted in the beatbox.
Dude, right?
That's legendary, bro.
I did that at 4 a.m., bro.
That is legendary. Fucking thank you.
I thank you, dude. I did that for you and your audience, man. I'm so happy.
Is that through like the Lightning Network as well, or? Because when you're talking Satoshi, it starts to make me think Lightning, because that's where we go from bits to sats.
Yeah, right. So what I was thinking was I'm gonna probably just tweet a hint every day until someone gets it. So my whole social media is just Patches Flows, so at Patches Flows. So I'll just tweet. I'll do no hint today, and then 24 hours I'll tweet a hint, and I'll just tweet a hint every 24 hours until someone gets it. I mean, it's only 500,000 Satoshis because I'm sort of trying to hold on to my Satoshis, but
yeah, I don't blame you. But talk about programmable money. That's programmable vocals. How walk me through the fucking process of even doing something like that.
If I tell you the process,
you'll know. But so we'll have to get you back on. We'll have to get you back on. Don't even tell me. I don't want to know because then people will think I cheated if I figure it the fuck out myself. So
it's only $20 worth of Bitcoin, but I mean, it's still better if I say 500,000 Satoshis.
Oh, but that's the thing though. Ready? 500,000 Satoshis when Bitcoin was at $20,000 was $100.
Something like that.
So that $20 is $100 is when John McAfee's not eating his dick is $1,000. So we have landmarks to hit in crypto where 500,000 sats is probably half a Lambo.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly believe in my sort of research and opinion, and I don't know the future, but I think it's going to be $1 per Satoshi one day. I mean, do you know they already passed the 1/10 Satoshi unit on Lightning like early or late last year? and it's like they're like thinking ahead, the smartest people, and they're like, wait a second, 7 ditch isn't enough. Like we need a 1/10 Satoshi in it.
Yeah.
So who knows the future? But I see
Sub Satoshis, exactly.
Hmm.
And I don't know. I sent one sat on the Lightning Network using the Blue Wallet, and it just blew my fucking mind. I was like, one sat.
What did it charge
send.
you for the fee? Or
Just nothing. I'm using their channel, right? So I would have to just the fee would have been to open and close my own channel. But now that I'm using their channel, their network to provide it. It's basically it is free. I didn't have to pay anything to send any sats. I just had to open a channel, and then when I want to get my sats off and close the channel, I send it back to my Bitcoin wallet on chain.
Yeah.
That's when a
Gotcha.
transaction fee occurs. So, sending these off chain is like, again, taking some Bitcoin out of circulating supply, putting it on the ice, and when you do that, it pretty much helps stabilize the Bitcoin value and give it more resistance, from breaking down lower. The support, the support is just so much stronger when you have these Bitcoin. Like, unfortunately, what happened with Quadriga, right? The exchange in Canada. Well, actually, they found out that he's not dead and he stole the Bitcoin.
Yeah, okay. I was going to say, that was the guy that supposedly died.
But
and then
if that were to have happened, where those Bitcoins were locked on ice, the private keys were gone, and the Bitcoin never moved, which it has moved now. But if it never did, it would have locked that value into Bitcoin forever. There's nothing that
aren't 4 million coins already locked?
Something like 4. Yeah, what we're at 17 million Bitcoin mined right now.
There's some like 3.8 left.
So if you think about it, with 17 million Bitcoin already mined, right, in existence, and then we have the 4 million Bitcoin that are locked, lost, stolen, or blacklisted because they're dirty Bitcoin. They have been used somewhere that have now everywhere is officially considered a blacklisted Bitcoin.
Oh, crazy.
So that's 21 million Bitcoin. If you do math, 17, 4, 21 million Bitcoin already exist, technically.
Well, I think so. What I think is to subtract those. So 17 million mined already, 4 million of them are locked. So that leaves 13 million circulating, approximately, and then like 3 million-ish left, 4 million-ish left to be mined.
Yeah, left to be mined, but those ones that are already gone could be spoken for to be mined. It's just, I don't know. I'm looking at it maybe a little bit of a different angle, because like we have 17 that exist, but the 4 that are locked, gone, or stolen might as well be added to the 4 that are coming potentially. So
someone would have to be able to break the algorithm to be able to mine the locked ones. But I guess
I compare that to somebody creating a deep sea excavating machine to get gold out of pirate ships that have sank to the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah.
If somebody was to ever do that, they would fuck shit up for everybody bringing gold back into the supply.
If they made it public, if they
drop that shit right on the market. I mean, fuck it, boom. Hold that gold that you have saved from the ocean excavation in the cold, some cold storage. Dump the market. I mean, look what happened with the Mount Gox scenario. I mean, that's exactly what happened. They hedged against it. They held some. They dumped that shit, bought back, and then raised. It's whatever. And I mean, it'd be interesting to see somebody do that with actual gold, or have like a giant gold meteorite hit the earth and we just gold.
And then the price of gold changes. If I can change the subject just a little, I have a question about like how long you've been actively into social media.
Because of Bitcoin. Actually, no, I lie. I do lie, actually. I'm sorry about that, everybody. I got into social media. I got into social media because of cell phone repair. I started fixing cell phones, doing logic board repairs, started getting into micro soldering, data restoration, and I found a community in it where it was decentralized knowledge. There was no central place or central authority for learning how to fix an iPhone or a logic board, because they didn't want you to. They didn't want you to get the schematics or the blueprints. They didn't want you to know where the traces were for the chips if one were to fail. So there was no central place I could trust to get this knowledge. There was just this decentralized community of people that were just open sourcing their own knowledge, and it was no incentive to their own because they're just helping other people's businesses prosper. So you have businesses that make money off of their knowledge of how to fix these devices, but so passionate about that knowledge that they're giving it away for free, and other people are using that knowledge to benefit themselves by creating a business, doing it by acting on that knowledge. So it was just a beautiful community, and I joined that, and I found Jessa Jones, and she was just she's like our Satoshi in cell phone repair, dude. She's fucking amazing. She can fix damn near anything. Louis
Jones?
Rothman, he has a shop in New York City. Louis, he's amazing, dude. Dude's a wizard. So like just finding that community actually got me to use social media. I started making friends and joining groups in Facebook, and I actually went on Twitter when I got into the adult entertainment industry with my ex-girlfriend. We were making
Nice.
adult entertainment and selling it and stuff, and I found that community on Twitter where it was like the same thing again. There was these niche communities on the social platform that would give away knowledge on how to actually do things or sell the content or the audiences and stuff. Like, it's just social media was just so different for me in that way that I didn't really think of it as much as like finding my high school friends. I never could give a fuck less about what anybody was doing, like getting married, having kids. I don't care about them today. I didn't care about them yesterday. But it's like this community though. This like it's like I'm back in high school. You know what I mean? Like this community I'm in, it is like going to high school all over again. I have different lunchroom tables I sit at, different cliques I get with, and I don't think it's ever going to end. There is no graduating crypto Twitter. You know, this is like what do you want to call that when you're in college? I never went. When you're in like a fraternity. It's like, you know, MySpace was definitely like more like high school, and crypto Twitter and like these social platforms for me were more like a fraternity that I joined.
It's like there are these emergent communities based on passion, which I guess is what spawned Bitcoin, right? Because it was like the cryptographers forum. You know, I love it. I mean, that's what's pushed beatbox. That's what's pushed breakdancing. I'm sure that's what's pushing programmers. That's what's pushed the painters. If you search the hashtag like psychedelic art, I mean, the level the painters are getting to is like insane.
Yeah, but the shit that scares me is the fucking data mining that's happening by when these collaborations are happening, right? Like everything that the communities of different cliques on Twitter and like crypto Twitter contributes to Twitter. Jack is data mining all of that, and he could take our great idea in a private DM and fucking patent it tomorrow. And say that, well, you use my platform to come up with the idea. It's in the terms and services. You know, it's if you're working under my house for a think tank and you come up with a second idea, it's part mine too. You're in my house. It's in the terms and services. You know, shout out to Pied Piper. HBO show, Silicon Valley.
Yeah, definitely. All my best ideas when I communicate to my cohorts, I always use Signal. Like my best ideas, I don't send on DMs of centralized servers.
But the centralization of the decentralized contributions is so fucked. Like I just it takes the minority ability to contribute to the world impactfully away. Like, you used to be able to be a part of a minority and do world impact, but now it's like these monopolies and conglomerates are taking the minorities' contributions, monopolizing them, like, you know, stealing them through regulations of resource and then implementing them, and no credibility due. And it's just disenfranchising, disincentivizing even. Like, today, it's almost damn near fucking impossible to become the next Jeff Bezos out of a garage. It's because the companies that have succeeded doing that have made it impossible to keep doing what they were doing because they don't want any more competition to come from that. So it's cannibalism. There's no symbiosis anymore. Everything's so parasitic.
With all the main networks, but not necessarily all the alternative decentralized networks.
Anything that comes from them, I'm saying, like, look what happened with JP Morgan coin, Facebook coin. They're taking what we have fucking done and they're institutionalizing it, and then they're taking the perspective of the mainstream, they're manipulating that, and then they're going to implement it to them, and we're going to get nothing. You know, the majority, again, will get no impact to the world in a global scale because the conglomerates and the monopolies like JP Morgan and Facebook are just taking it from us. And they're going to win because they control the regulations. If they can say by force, fucking Walmart has to accept Facebook coin and JP Morgan coin has to be used by brokers for trading overseas, like, then why would they ever use Bitcoin? You know, they don't have to because they can't. And something else does exist that's similar, that features the same things, but it's centralized. But they have to use it by force. It's fucking scary. It does scare me a lot when I think about the ability to centralize the decentralized and regulate the uncensorable.
Yeah, I don't disagree with any of that. The only and I don't have a ton of knowledge about it, but one of my favorite things about Bitcoin, and I think it's going to be maybe it's like secret weapon or its trump card or whatever you want to call it. It has an unreplicable issuance model. So even though you could like copy the exact code or the exact sort of style, the algorithms, the one thing that can't be copied is when Bitcoin had its initial issuance, the people didn't know what cryptocurrency was and what it was going to do. So now even if you made like an exact carbon copy of it, however, it's like a portion of the world already knows about it. So even though that seems like maybe like a nitpick or whatever the word is, it's like truly its issuance model cannot be duplicated. And I think that's going to be one of its secret weapons that I personally believe, and I'm not sure, but I personally believe that Bitcoin will be the new world reserve currency, since it's deflationary, since it can't be duplicated, and also since it seems to be being accepted in the global markets. So like you can't just have one without
Right.
the other. I think it's going to stay on top,
That
personally.
only works
Who knows?
if the U.S. doesn't use a nuke to make everybody use FedCoin. Look at the U.S. dollar as the petrodollar,
I
forcing
think they will,
itself.
though. I think they will make everyone use FedCoin, but I still think that BTC will retain its spot as like a global reserve currency. But it's like, even though that's great and it does have some bit of, freedom in that, it's like they can still use their massive amounts of fiats to like get a lot of BTC. So it doesn't like solve every
Oh
problem.
yeah, I was telling people about that on I think my last podcast with the Litecoin Foundation. The ability that the Federal Reserve has to keep printing more fiat, and they can buy Bitcoin at whatever price they want because they just printed the money. It meant nothing to them. It didn't cost them anything to hit the enter button. So
That
that
will drive up the price of BTC though, but not before a bunch of people get a bunch. I mean, for sure.
Yeah, well, that's why I think they're buying it and selling it for a loss. I think that we're seeing a lot of manipulation on the Bitcoin price going down because it doesn't cost them anything to push the price of Bitcoin down because we're pegging it
Just
to the
print
US
fiat.
dollar that has no value. It's frivolous, it's meaningless. Like, you want to talk about magic money, the US dollar's magic. It's backed by belief. You believe in it, therefore it has value. It's proof of imagination. It's fucking insane.
POI, dude.
I
Yeah,
think
it's
I just
crazy.
coined that. I hope I did.
And yeah, no, and I think that's one of the things. There's two subjects that I think are woefully untalked about. I don't know if that's good grammar, but one,
I thought it
the
was
source of
prophetic.
money. Thank you. The source of money, the Federal Reserve, how they're just printing stuff, and some people talk about that. Joe Rogan talks a lot about money now, but he still hasn't really touched much upon the Federal Reserve. I think one of his more recent guests did finally mention it, and that was cool. But one thing that I never hear anyone talk about is the core algorithms that define what is profitable. Like, okay, this company is profitable as this company is profitable if this. And I think some old green capitalism, I don't know if that's from the 70s or 80s, they were incorporating the total natural resources and pollution into their profit algorithm. So some company like could make all these units, but then they were also polluting their local environment. Then via these algorithms, they wouldn't be deemed profitable. So I think one of the
Mm.
core issues, the core problems on our planet is that we're working with these super old definitions of what is profitability. That's one thing I like about crypto, and not even crypto in particular, is it's like this hyper Darwinism of different economic systems. And we're gonna and these old dinosaur systems, even though they're so entrenched and they got all these armies behind them, it's like they're so slow to move that we're going to evolve like thousands of years per year, and they're just going to be like, oh, saying the same old crap. And for a while they're going to be able to hold on to it, but at some point the other systems are going to be so evolved that it's just going to, and like you say, they're probably going to come in and try and like pick and choose to steal from it for their Fed coins. I think that they're fundamentally such slow systems that they won't, where, and I think it's all leading to like some kind of AI governance. So I mean, it's sort of scary and sort of crazy and very exciting.
That was fucking profound, bro.
End rant, baby.
Wow, that
Thanks, man.
just. Yeah, I mean, like, I look at that too. Like, you can't measure the cost of. Oh, I have to move that down. I can't measure the cost of U.S. dollar. You don't know how much it costs to create back transfer a U.S. dollar. It doesn't exist. It's not even measurable. But you can measure the cost of creating a Bitcoin, transferring a Bitcoin, moving a Bitcoin, holding a Bitcoin. It has that ability to then see that it's it's pollutant cost, right? Like everyone says, like Bitcoin mining is polluting the world with electrical consumption, and most of it comes from resources that don't even get utilized, like closer to the source of you know, a generator or the nuclear power plant that a mining facility may be plugged into. 80% of it or whatever, it's like a crazy number. It doesn't even hit the main net. Like when it goes to the lines of the residents, it's lost before it gets out.
Oh, 70% of electricity on the American grid gets lost because of poor infrastructure. I just learned that like a couple weeks ago.
So these facilities are taking advantage of that 70% that doesn't even get accounted for. It never got used anyway, but it was being produced. The cost behind it is there. It's just not being utilized, and that's where they're putting these mining facilities. So it's not costing anything more. It's not hurting anything more. It's actually like fucking recycling. You know what I mean? It's reducing. It's reusing. It is, in a sense, you know, contributing more than it's taking away. But they can measure how much the impact is, but they can't measure how much the impact of fiat is. So they have something to stand on. They have something to point at and yell at without anybody being able to bring out a pie chart and yell back.
I think Bitcoin will stay proof of work too. I think most of the algorithms probably won't be proof of work as we go forward, like 50 years. But I think that they'll keep the main global currency as a proof of work, and it is dirty. And I'd say relatively it's way less dirty if you just measure the banks and like the wars they're funding and all this stuff.
Well, Bitcoin will eventually go to proof of stake.
Yeah,
Bitcoin runs out.
It's mined out.
Yeah, 2,140. But by then we'll have quantum computing, and Bitcoin will probably have been forked into something that's quantum resistant, or IOTA will have won the race finally and once and for all become the standard with Tangle.
I heard that the quantum resistant algos for Bitcoin are already ready as what's it called when they suggest the upgrades, the propositions, or I forgot what they're called.
Somebody in the chat said, why don't they teach you about Federal Reserve in school? They don't teach you about a lot in school because they don't want you to be an entrepreneur. They don't want you to do anything other than be a employee.
Worker.
Yeah.
Be an employee.
Yeah, we need employees. We need, you know, the industrial line industry is still ingrained in the education system. The entrepreneurial industry has yet to implement itself in the high school and educational system, but it's coming in the colleges. A lot of these fucking colleges have like their entrepreneurial clubs and things like that. And we're seeing things with like Udemy where professors are even decentralizing education.
Crowdsourced education will replace institutionalized.
Yeah, homeschooling I think will be a lot more different. A lot of people still send their kids to school for like that social interaction and learning how to, like, you know, fucking get picked on and defend themselves and shit like that. But rough. I know a lot of kids that could kick the shit out of a bully in school growing up, but they cry when they get trolled on Twitter. So I think you know, the social interactions moving forward and the goals therefore is where we spend most of our time on the internet, less time in reality and engaging with people, that people will probably send their kids to online school so they can get tougher online and be able to, you know, socially engage and interact with people in that environment. And then we'll have that, you know, decentralized homeschooling thing really kick off. But right now it's that mentality that's really holding people back because they were programmed to think that you have to go to school, you have to go to college, you have to do this, you have to do that in that order. I don't know. Most successful billionaires kind of stopped going to college because it was wasting their fucking time. You know,
yeah, even most of the successful YouTubers and influencers, most of them.
Well, yeah, right. They're independent, entrepreneurial content creators. That there was no fucking class in high school really to how to do YouTube. That didn't exist. It just happened. And I think as that keeps happening, you know, people will see that sending your kid to high school for 4 years is actually holding them back from becoming themselves and being themselves and getting rewarded so in society. You know, I know, like, you know, education is important, learning how to do math, reading, writing. Yes, I'm not saying don't educate your children. I'm saying don't send them to fucking school to do it. Yeah,
more efficient education.
And the real problem is, you know, it takes two people to work a full-time job to pay the fucking rent. So who's going to stay home to teach the kids or watch the kids so they don't burn the house down? But as we're moving more into that independent entrepreneurship, house moms have started incorporating side hustles, like, you know, Tupperware shit 2.0.
Do you know any UBI coins? Do you know any cryptos that have a built-in UBI model? universal basic income, where somehow in the economic like fundamentals of the coin, people get I mean, it would be inflationary, so I don't know how you would balance everything, but I have this feeling,
I
and
feel like Richard Hart's trying to do that with Bitcoin Hex in a sense, but not
I
exactly.
haven't looked into that. I think someone mentioned circles one time, but I haven't looked into that either, which is different than Circle Pay.
Oh yeah, Circle Pay.
Yeah, so not that one, but I think there's one called Circles.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm not,
about Andrew Yang. Did you see Andrew Yang on Joe Rogan?
I saw some of it. I haven't had a chance to watch the whole podcast. It's
That's a
actually
great
on
one.
my pinned thing. As soon as we're done here, that's what I was going to listen to while
I think it's like
clean
2
up.
hours, so it's not too bad.
I might need
he's
about
great.
2 hours to clean this mess up, so it should be perfect.
Let's see,
DJ Me Popsicle, there is 500,000 Satoshis ingrained in a beatbox song. You're going to have to rewind the live stream to listen. But it's there, bro. It's there. If anybody can do it, I feel like DJ Me Popsicle can.
Heck yeah, and I'll put out a hint on my Twitter every 24 hours, which is just at Patches Flows. Plug. Let's see, I had a question for you. What do you ever think about simulation theory? Elon Musk said it's a very low statistical chance that we're not in a simulation.
Oh, I feel like I am kind of with that thought. Like, I like to play around with my own perception of, like, reality and try to think. Like,
That's
I
sort of my
watched
question,
every
actually.
documentary on Flat Earth just because I wanted to be in my uncomfortablest environment ever and try to perceive reality from somebody else's perspective without my own biased filter. Like, yo, this is stupid. You're an idiot. Like, I learned my whole life. Like, I still believe the Earth is round. Like, that's my belief. But
Yeah.
I can still respect somebody else's, and I want to be able to wear their shoes without my own filter and walk in that perspective. So I do think that, like, along those lines, that, like, how I said I believe the Earth is round, I do believe that we are in some sort of simulation. Like, that is a belief that I have. Like, life isn't real. I can fucking meditate here and manifest something into a reality. I feel like I've done this multiple times, but I can't prove it. I've had dreams and then things have happened, and it's unprovable shit, but it leads me to believe that it's like glitches in the matrix, and it's not provable, it's only believable.
I would agree with everything you said except for the fact that it's not provable. One of the most beautiful sciences is experimental design. So you're, like you said, just using your brain and coming up with, just so one of the best examples is people were thinking about, psychic thought and like collective consciousness and stuff. And they did this really famous experiment where they took a bunch of crossword puzzles that hadn't come out yet. And they had a bunch of isolated people do these crossword puzzles, and they timed how long it took them to do it. And then they did the experiment again, but they did it with crossword puzzles that had already been released on the Earth, but that these people hadn't seen yet because they kept them in isolation. But the crossword puzzles had gone out, like around the newspapers around the countries in the globe, and the ones that hadn't been released yet always took longer, and the ones that already had been released yet always were faster.
Group consciousness.
Exactly.
Or mass
So
consciousness.
theory being, if there is a collective consciousness, that subconsciously these people were able to access it, so whatever one believes about that, what I'm saying is this idea of experimental design. Someone thought of that. Someone like cleverly was like, because how can you test?
Well, that doesn't necessarily mean that we are in a program as much as it could also mean that, spiritually or within atom to, that electrical level, the space between the atoms, we can shift through it in a spiritual sense and tap into the mass conscious. So it doesn't mean that it's one or the other, but it does prove that we have mass conscious. Like,
exactly.
I do believe in that.
The simulation theory, but yeah, I was saying about mass consciousness.
Oh, 100%.
One of my favorite quotes ever, which I think you'll like. There's a great quote. I just heard this somewhere. It was, "Magic and science are cultural interpretations of energy manipulation." I'm gonna say that again. Magic and science are cultural interpretations of energy manipulation.
If we all believe dragons are real, we'd start fucking seeing dragons, bro.
Maybe not, but maybe dragons were real. Maybe lizards are a form of dragon. Well, what I would say is that whether it's a magic or science, maybe that's a moot point. Maybe those are just words. Maybe what things are is energy, and there's effective energy manipulation, and there's like ineffective or fake energy manipulation. And I'd say the scientific method, even if magic was fully real and you could like cast fireballs, I'd say the scientific method would like help you be a better magician, because it's just observation.
It's the ultimate placebo effect.
Yeah, right. Dude, we're getting out there, bro.
Hold on, I need to take another one of these.
Let me look at the chat, man. This is my first podcast. We got Amina.
Amina is my favorite. I love you, Amina. I don't have favorites, but you're my favorite. You know that. No, she actually has a meetup in Canada, and I met her when we were organizing a conference I was trying to put on, and dude, she's just so hardworking, and I don't know, I'm just so proud of where she's come. Like, Amina, respect. Like,
Dude.
Respect. She's come
I don't know,
far,
Amina,
so
but
fast.
just to see that glowing recommendation, you know, I think hard work and dedication and passion is like it's the recipe for strength. You know, every weakness I've had is when I've been lacking that, and every time I've taken big strides towards my dreams, it's when I've like reinforced that and tried harder with those. So props, Amina.
Yeah, I try to put myself in really uncomfortable positions because I want to keep evolving. You know, like the moment you're comfortable, you stop moving forward, you stop progressing, and you just, you know, you hit stagnant, you know, homeostasis, and I don't want that. I want to keep evolving. So that's why I kind of got into crypto, because it was like, oh shit, I don't know how any of this works. I'm gonna, you know, lose money playing. Like, that's kind of what really got me interested too, like the unknown. You know, I'm gonna have to figure this stuff out, and I realize that every day I get more knowledgeable about Bitcoin, I learn less, or I know less. You know, the more I learn, the more I know I don't know. And it's like, I'll never be able to hit the end of this thing. It doesn't end. There's no mastering Bitcoin. I think I have.
There's no mastering beatbox. There's no mastering art, but there's this. You can master the like joyful pursuit of art. You can master the pursuit of mastery. That's, I think, the only thing you can master.
Yeah, that's true. The mastery of the pursuit of mastery.
I looked up a few statistics for you, just a couple if you're interested.
Oh, dude, yeah, man, shoot.
100% of Ken Bozaks are dope.
That
Actually,
might be a fact.
That is a fact.
I need my mom to confirm, but I think that's the last vote on making that like a Wikipedia page, right?
All right, it looks like there's about 30 to 39% of the population of Earth has a smartphone right now. So we're about 30 to 39%. By 2021, they're predicting about 50% of the population of Earth.
That's mind-blowing.
We're not talking about a mobile phone either. So that's not, mobile phones way more. I'm talking smartphone.
Yeah, I know, but I would have thought that shit would have been as popular as air at this point. Like, everybody has a smartphone. I think it's like
over 90% of Americans, but if you're just talking the entire planet, you know, all the third world countries or the people without, like India right now, some company in India just did a new push, and they're like putting out the cheapest smartphones that India's ever had. And actually that's why India, since YouTube isn't banned there, is getting way more YouTube users, and that's why the biggest YouTuber in the world is about to get passed by an Indian YouTube channel. So actually 5-10 years in the future, most of the top YouTube channels will be from India, because they have 1.3 billion people. They're about to all have smartphones, you know. So that's really interesting. I've just learned about that.
Wow.
Yeah, so about 50% of the Earth should have smartphones by about 2021. And then the last thing I have on my list, what's your experience with VR and AR?
I love VR. All right, so AR I think is more cumbersome than it will be ever. Like, I don't think it will be more convenient. I like how that video looks.
Yeah.
I bet that is a thing. I'm sure of it. You could go...
She has a messy desktop. I'll just say, not everyone has to have a messy desktop.
That's true. There was a lot going on.
Yeah, you can just like... Bleh.
Right, but I mean, I just don't think people will opt into AR at all much. I don't think people will adopt it because it's never going to be first layer. Like AR, everybody wants, like your glasses right now. You wear them every day. I just don't see people that don't need glasses wearing glasses every day just because it has the AR abilities. I just don't see people wanting to have this thing like this.
What if they didn't need their smartphone though? What if you didn't have to carry that?
I don't think people will want to live without that physical hands-on.
This is the thing. This would be the So I mean, I don't want to. I don't think
people are going to. I like people still miss the physical keyboards on their smartphones today. Like today, I know people that would pay $1,000 for the next Samsung if it came out with a physical keyboard like a BlackBerry because they miss it. And I think that will that's ingrained in us. Like we pick up a stick and turn it into a hammer. It's like it's what we do. So to have to put that down to start another experience, like AR is a different thing because you're intentionally doing it. You're taking time out of your day to do this experience. Oh shit, my podcast is on fire. They called it in. The fire trucks are coming. We're lit.
This podcast is lit.
So I think.
What about Elon's Neuralink? So you wouldn't even have to like type. You'll just be able to think the typing.
I don't think people know, because you're gonna be like, show me boobs, BB, and you're gonna accidentally type to your girlfriend some crude shit. You know what I mean? Like that. You're not gonna. Yeah, we're gonna have now malware to or ad blockers for our fucking perverted thoughts that we think of sex every 5 seconds. You know,
I agree with that.
We're not gonna want to post a tweet. I got a boner. I got a boner. I got a boner every 5 fucking seconds. So. I love the idea, but it's also like putting data into your DNA.
So it wouldn't be stream of consciousness. They're gonna have a gate, so it won't be. They won't release Neuralink until there is a gate, because you're right. You wouldn't want to just have an
You want to get into data mining your fucking dreams, bro, and then waking up to seeing a commercial for the fucking invention you had a dream about. No.
Yep. I think that's gonna happen. So I'm not saying that's the best choice.
Being fucking played into your thoughts through like sound waves through. Nobody's gonna do any of that, dude. We're still worried about 5G giving us testicular cancer. It's great in theory, but you have the human element, right? Like that's the people. Like you could create this amazing thing, like a decentralized currency that's world. People have to still choose to use it. The human element, we're idiots at nature. We have to go through states of Darwinism, processes of elimination through like these dodo effects of dumb people walking off cliffs, following J.P. Morgan to their demise. It will happen, and then we'll be left with the intellectually inclined. But by then, I think we'll be smart enough to know not to do any of that stuff at all. I like AR on the phone though, or like in that secondary environment where you have like your Nintendo Switch or DS and your apartment. You can walk around your house and your little Pikachu can hide under a table because it recognizes it. That's awesome. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of implementations into that with gaming, but AR's got way too many roadblocks in their way. I think VR is not just more feasible, it's just more desired by the masses, even though I think AR, like if you had those glasses on at all times and there was like an Amber Alert and you were in Disneyland and you saw a kid walking by, everybody would automatically know because of their AR that kid is missing. Help that kid. It's beautiful, but I just don't know if people will choose to do that. Choose to adopt that.
I really do appreciate it, and that's really well thought out too. I don't agree, but I'm okay with that. And really, who knows, right? I don't know.
Right.
So it'll be cool to see. My personal research, my opinion is that it's unavoidable, and in the next 4 to 10 years, next 10 years, no more smartphones, only AR glasses. If you look, I have 2 videos to look up. HoloLens 2. So from the HoloLens 1, 3 years later.
I don't love AR though, because of HoloLens 1.
Exactly. Well, HoloLens 1 sucked. HoloLens 2 is not even that great.
What about Google Glass? Like
that's old. That's just like the big cell phone. So then, and if you look up Amazon AR glasses, they have one now. It's only as high fidelity as like a smartwatch, so not that great, but it's this size. It's crazy. It's literally this size, and it's already can do smart.
Well, you know what's holding back AR the most, right? Battery.
Yeah,
batteries. And nobody fucking talks about like the battery technology that's stifling innovation, energy of the batteries. It's crazy.
People working on it.
Yeah, but every battery we've created is just more and more toxic to the environment and less recyclable. We have these things now that will exist forever on this planet in these wastelands that cannot be compressed to taking up any less space, and if ever leaked, can cause detrimental impact worldwide. Like nuclear power plants exponential. You could look at the Tesla car batteries. I heard they can't you can't compress them, you can't recycle the Tesla car batteries. So like every 7 years you buy a new Tesla car battery and that battery's just in existence forever.
Landfill.
Yeah, exactly.
I think they'll be able to mine that stuff eventually, but I mean, I'm not in the near, that's probably the roughest hurdles that these technologies have to overcome is the battery technology and then the reuse of this stuff.
Yeah, and they're worrying about the frivolous shit. We don't need a 5K screen on a smartphone.
Yeah.
Why do we even have a 1080p screen on a smartphone? It's just frivolous. It's a frivolous feature that everybody wants, but what you really want is a better battery. They're just not going to give it to you because it's not the selling point that you actually are aware of that you want. You know, it sucks because there's a lot of things that could exist, but because people don't know, like, or wouldn't appreciate them, they're not worthwhile to even create. Like, a lot of companies go through these, like, even pharmaceutical trials for things, and, you know, just look at like what's happening. I don't know how you feel about vaccines and shit, and I don't want to get too deep into like that, but the cost of coming up with this vaccine for a disease or an issue, and then people don't adopt it, are now disincentivizing even the creation of the vaccine of a problem that will occur. So it's like fucking with my head to think of how many problems aren't being solved that will become problems that will be unsolvable. We have to solve problems before they're problems to keep them solvable. So it's just like crazy. Kind of worrying me a little bit that we're like trying not to solve problems anymore because people don't want solutions for them. So now the cost of a solution isn't even worth pursuing because the end result won't be implemented. So it's like, fuck me. So we're working, what my example is, we're working on cures for things like fucking hair loss and boner pills, and all those doctors could be working on cures for like fucking everything else. It's just the, you know, the money is in the hair pills, the money's in the boner pills. The money's, you know, in treatments. The money's not in cures. But if money was in cures, everything would be cured. But because money's in treatments, they're not looking for cures. They're looking for treatments. It's fucked.
Yep.
And it goes to everything. It goes to everything. Economics, education, entertainment. You know, there's no need for a developer like Vitalik to start a YouTube channel because nobody would fucking watch or pay him for his time that, you know, he's worth for doing that. So he might as well implement his time otherwise. And I'm starting to see some of that become decentralized, like I said, with the Udemy thing and professors doing their own things. And I was hopeful for Steemit to do stuff like that as well, for people to create quality, informative content and be contributed for it. But people still want to upvote cat videos. So that's
maybe it's unavoidable.
You know, look at what PewDiePie does. That dude has a fucking giant following. And the only reason he does that stupid character that he keeps doing is because that's what people want to eat.
Yeah.
You know, if he wanted, he could impact the world in a really big way, meaningful way. But people want a specific type of entertainment, so that's what you got to feed them.
I'm going to change it. What are you most excited about for yourself this 2019? What do you got on your? What are you looking forward to? Whether it's something that's fully fleshed out or just this idea that you've been intuiting.
For myself, all right. So I'm excited for this year. This year I do have a 12-month plan to slowly but surely do a 180 complete pivot to blockchain gaming. I don't want to talk about anything but blockchain gaming. I'm done with everything. I'm done with it all. It's all fucking boring. I'm bored with it all. I think blockchain gaming is the killer app that we've all been waiting for, and everybody wants it to be this more profound killer app, but it's not, unfortunately. Nobody's going.
It's gonna be like a layer.
Yeah, it's a layer. It's that step. It's again that incentive, right? That where to put your resources, why it's worthwhile. Yeah, we could have these developers solving Lightning Network right now and working on Ethereum's sharding and all this. But blockchain developing in gaming is more lucrative, so those developers are spending their time there. And I see that desire and I see that value for that product to exist. So. And I mean, when you're talking about a lot of these shit coins, they don't even have a platform. Like, they want to be like, this platform for you to create this, to create that, and then we're going to find merchants, and we're going to find the people, we're going to bring this ecosystem together. And like, well, I already have the game. I can use this non-fungible token. It's an asset. The game's based on smart contracts, so the foundational layer is blockchain. And if I chose to, it is open source. I could steal this game's complete design and play it my own centralized or decentralized, now forked desired way. So if I don't like what Grand Theft Auto's doing, I can take everything from this game without any recourse of licensing and copyrights, and I could release it. So I think that is going to be where we see more proof of design being implemented and being appreciated. We're going to see people start to not just look at the dollar, at the US dollar worth of a Bitcoin, I think when you're looking at non-fungible tokens like CryptoKitties, that's where you see one kitty is worth one kitty. One Bitcoin is worth one Bitcoin. So that detachment from the US dollar and fiat layer will be what I think is the non-fungible tokens. And right now, non-fungibles are kind of doing what ICOs have done. They're raising funds by selling these in-game content creations to then build the platforms to utilize them on. So the money's there, the desire's there, the investors are there, and the end users are just waiting on the edge of their seat in anticipation for the next Fortnite game. I want a Fortnite game that when I play the game and I get the John Wick skin, I can fucking sell it because the 55 hours I put into that, Fortnite game, I can evaluate because that's how long it takes to skin, and it takes everybody that much time to get the skin. We all have to
attention.
Right, proof of attention. I want that shirt. Because the attention economy will be exactly how impactful the industrial economy was, the assembly line working economy. We're going to be seeing that in attention.
Marketing.
Yeah, dude, no marketers are going to fucking Fox News anymore. They're going to PewDiePie.
Yep, and Mr. Beast and
Mr. Beast. He found a way to make money giving away money. The smartest dude in history. He inspired me to do the whole thing where Craig Grant gave me Bitcoin and stop saying the whole BitConnect thing. He gave me. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna give away the Bitcoin. I saw Mr. Beast giving away money, and I was like, you know how hard it is to give away money on PayPal and all this online. Mr. Beast, just start giving away Bitcoin. So can we get everybody to get Mr. Beast to just start giving away Bitcoin? Because that's awesome. What he should be giving away. He's giving away money on the internet for a living. It's Mr. Beast's living to give away money on the internet. Why isn't he giving away internet money?
Oh, he should. He should. Yeah, we should all tweet him.
Mr. Beast should be. We have to give him some Bitcoin to then give away. I think would be the.
That's the way that could get him started, but then that might catalyze him.
What do you mean?
Because I'm saying once you gave him the Bitcoin to give away, then maybe he'd love it, and then he'd go buy a bunch of Bitcoin and give it away.
Ooh, that's true. Or he would just have his sponsors buy the Bitcoin and pay him in Bitcoin to give away the Bitcoin. And now we have companies that buy advertising, buying Bitcoin. That's how it starts, right? It's the supply chain thing, right? If I choose to get paid in Bitcoin, so if anybody wants to hire me, they have to pay me in Bitcoin. Or I'm not going to work for you. If somebody wants to hire you right now and they're only willing to pay you in Mexican pesos, are you going to accept the fucking job?
72 pesos but 72 Satoshis per peso, I think. So Satoshi's about to overpass the peso in a little bit here.
Really?
That'd be crazy.
That is crazy.
It's one Satoshi is worth about 72 pesos. I think I checked out a month ago, so it might be a little different, but I mean approximately.
Wow.
It's crazy. Right?
It's scary, dude. What's happening in Venezuela and that's the France and everything. It's I feel like I don't want to put my doom and gloom doomsday porn on, but how far are we from an economic collapse at a $22 trillion deficit? We cannot be too far.
These things.
We did a bailout not too long ago, and things are just not going any better. Look what happened with Wells Fargo. A month ago, Wells Fargo had a 2-week freeze on cash withdrawals because they didn't have enough cash on site on most of their banks. They had $100 to $1,000 limit for anybody to get cash, and you need to give them a 24-hour heads up before you could get your $1,000. If you could get your, it's I don't know. People are just so comfortable. Again, like I say, I try to stay uncomfortable, and think along the lines of the people that are a little bit skeptical and have a different perspective that may be complete, like Alex Jones. You know what I mean? I don't like the guy, but I try to take that crazy perspective and just see what it's like to live in those shoes for a second. How kind of like Joe Rogan kinds to do. You know what I mean? He doesn't necessarily have to believe everything people say, but he wants to in that instance, just to see what it feels like to believe.
Considers it. So what I always say, and what I think you agree with, is it's really good to consider almost everything. And keep a strong barrier. Don't just accept it, but don't just reject it. Someone gives you this thought, whatever it may be, it's crazy or not, maybe just consider it, because you can learn whether you're going to end up rejecting it or integrate it. If you take the time to consider it and be open-minded, you'll learn so much. You'll have such a greater viewpoint,
Yeah, that's kind of why when I got into the space, I was a Bitcoin maximalist, and I saw that I was building my own filter, and I gave, altcoins another chance in a sense. And it opened my eyes, and I might be going back to Bitcoin maximalism because of it, but whatever.
I'm a Satoshi maximalist.
Yeah, I might be headed back to that full circle opinion there because anything a successful project can do, Bitcoin Core will just steal it, implement it, and it will do it too, but it will do it better, bigger, and safer. But then the human element, right? The choice to choose to use Bitcoin or to use the desired communal coin, the Doge coin.
Yeah, man. Yeah, this is awesome, man. Thanks again for having me on here. This is so great, man. I really appreciate you, and I really look up to you, man.
Dude,
Thank
I
you so much.
appreciate this, man. Your perspective, and at least twice, you have blown my mind with some profound shit. So, like, you've impacted my perspective now twice, and I appreciate that. Thank you for opening my mind, bro.
Yeah, man.
So, if do you have to get going? I know we had it scheduled for an hour, and we're at an hour and 20. I don't mean to keep
Heck
you.
yeah.
I could do this all
you're
day.
good. I just don't want to. I want to like end good instead of just trailing off. Because at some point I'll be like, oh yeah, dude.
Right,
Yeah.
right. No, I saw like in the comments that you had for the actual podcast. Let me bring that up real quick. That we were going to talk a little bit about self-employment and self-betterment,
Oh,
and stuff
yeah.
like that, staying happy
Yeah.
and motivated. So yeah, let's talk about
Thanks for
that a little
reminding
bit.
me.
You know, you said you used to work in a restaurant.
I was a waiter for
waiter?
10 years and I only worked for like 24 hours a week. I always made sure to only work part-time. I was just coasting through. My passion was music, but I never like pulled it together. You know, I always just sort of like made some beats and smoked some blunts and then worked my little hours. And then whenever I was really feeling like I want to push it and pull it together, I would just be tired. And you know, I had a good opportunity. So the part-time job did not prevent me. Like I felt like my energy was sapped, but I've met other people who work a part-time job as a dishwasher, which is even harder than being a waiter, and then they're slaying it as their career. So for me, I didn't pull it together, but eventually I actually had the opportunity to run away and join a circus. This really beautiful clown, this girl came up to me and she liked the way I juggle, and she's like, you want to come, you know, quit your job and run away the circus with me? And thank God I said yes. And I only
Whoa.
traveled with her for a few months, but it was life-changing.
Oh, fuck yeah, I bet.
It was awesome, man. This beautiful
Did you
clown.
ever try to high wire? Tell me you tried it.
I didn't slackline, so it's a little different. But you know the slackline. Like,
Yeah,
sort of-
yeah. It was like started with people jumping on chains in parking lots on YouTube, and then it became a sport.
Heck yeah, yeah. No, I can walk a chain in a parking lot now, and I'm not like I wasn't a naturally coordinated person.
Dude, that's
So I did
fucking
that,
awesome.
and then they were going to go to South America, and it was like the real commitment. Like, and I got scared, so then I went back on Craigslist, got another waiter job, got a like traditional, you know, room for rent, and a couple more years passed, and then one day, you know, I was like 32, and I was like, what am I doing? And I just quit my job. I just became a full-time artist in Portland. I was literally just like selling copper jewelry on the ground on a tapestry, like full hippie, making like $10 in a couple hours. But we had so much fun, dude. And then I started finding like estates of crystals where lapidary artists had like passed away, and I got like $5,000 of crystals for like $30. And then it grew. And then like one day I was like, oh, you know, I should like bring a table. And I brought a table, and my sales like quadrupled. And then I started researching it, and now I'm like 4 years self-employed, and I haven't got to my goal yet. I'm gonna make like $1,000 a week off art. Not there yet, but I mean, I'm more than halfway there. And I
Dude,
started at like
that's epic.
$20 a week. I mean, it's crazy.
What are your thoughts on tokenized art? I'm going to go back to that non-fungible
Yeah.
token concept where you could create a piece of art and have it tokenized. You know, how an artist will have a painting tokenized in the sense of a print. You know,
like
it's,
shares? Or...
no. You know how an artist, you have a painting, right? You painted it physically, but then you sell prints of that painting, 1 of 100, and you number them, 1 of 100, 2 of
Gotcha.
100, and you sign it, right?
Yeah.
What is any different than taking a painting that you do on your tablet and then tokenizing it as a screenshot and putting a couple engine coin behind it, or creating it as an ERC 721 token, or like I wonder if artists are too reluctant to move outside that comfort zone of the physical realm of art and move more towards that digital realm where e-commerce is now more fruitful. Like that street corner you were on is a Facebook marketplace now.
Dude, some are reluctant, but many are not. You know, we've been doing live streaming for gaming or for podcasting, but there's a new thing. It's only about 2 years old. People are doing live streaming vending. So they'll go in a Facebook group, and then they'll set up their local, you know, physical table with their stuff and set it all up. And then they'll go live and then they just sort of like have their camera up or their setup, and people come in to look at it, and they're like, "Oh, hey guys, I got all this for sale. Let me know what you want to look at." And they're doing this live vending. They're about to have virtual reality vending, and
Flea
so
market
yeah,
streaming. I love it.
yeah, it's crazy. So, like one of the main Facebook groups is called like All About the Rocks, and people are live there 24/7 vending. There's like 10 vendors right now vending on this Facebook group, and it's free. You know,
VR
right
is
now
gonna
there's like
change the
crazy.
game on that, because you're going to be able to have your own virtual art auction gallery or art house, and then you don't even have to go live. You have your own art gallery that people can just go into through via
Pick
VR.
it up and look at
Right,
it.
exactly. Look at the strokes on it and shit, because it's like a perfect scanned model replica of the painting. Or like I do see I know I do see less physical art being created in the future, man. I think physical art will be that rare crystal, you know, that rare gem, that physical art, because people will desire digital art. That's what they're going to want, because when in my house, I'm going to have, and if you're right with augmented reality, with your glasses on, when you walk through my front door, you're not going to see a plain wall. You're going to see how I digitally designed my house with a digital architect, to where when you walk in, it's going to have a painting on the wall. My clock will be there, but when you take your glasses off, it looks like a green screen.
You might have the Mona Lisa up, but then if you look at it, she like moves her eyes a little. You know what I mean? You'll be able to program.
So people will want to, exactly. You're gonna have programmers creating that art, though, and that's where the attention is gonna go. You know, the desire, like, you know, the people will want more digital art than physical art, because physical art will block that digital art. It won't be. It'll be a cumbersome filter. Oh. Right.
Yeah. That's what I mean. That's what it looks like when I've studied it. It looks like it's going that way. Have you seen the VR 3D painting and stuff?
Yes, I played with it, man. At decentralized art shows with Summer Sherwood, aka Boss Lady. I fucking miss you, Boss Lady. But I used to do decentralized art shows with her. I went to 3 of them: Texas, LA, Philadelphia. It was just really cool to see these experiences. And yeah, there was this company that basically did digital art, and you would do it in this virtual environment, and I don't know, it was just amazing. And it was like people would create sculptures, or like floating sceneries, or just like 2D objects that were just like flat, but you could like pivot it and see that it actually was flat. Like it didn't have to be 3D. It was like, I was like just mind blown. That I was like, I didn't, because when I saw the 2D stuff in VR, it was just like, oh, they could do anything here. Nothing. It doesn't all have to be 3D, like bubbly. Like it was just really cool. So it blew my mind a little bit, and I started to actually think along the lines of like how I love going back to Grand Theft Auto. My brother was just here playing it. It's the only reason it's out. But imagine being able to create a virtual environment for a game company to rent from you for their second level of their game. You know, like they don't have to hire an artist as much as they can lease the art. Yeah, outsource, or not even license, or outsource. Crowdsource, exactly.
Yeah.
Some bounties. Game companies will put out a bounty for people to create the environments that the game's technologies code, you know, relates to. You know, so artists are going to be incentivized to create, you know, digital Lambos, and create these little digital icons and emojis and characters, because there's going to be a huge market for this digital art coming up, because games and, you know, projects that use these AR and VR technologies, they need that to implement the ideas and the code that they have behind it.
Totally. I mean, look at Skyrim, right? You know, arguably an awesome game, but what was way better, you know, the thousands of mods that the crowds made. You play. Dude,
when games don't let you mod it, they fucking die. People get pissed. People get real pissed. I've seen it happen, you know, early on with like Call of Duty. There were some really cool mods for Nazi zombies. And somebody, you know, was talking about making a mod for like making the zombies like the Kool-Aid Man and shit. But then they like completely screwed us by making it impossible to really do that. They would just like find out your username or your Xbox IP if you were running mods, and then they would just ban you. I'm like, how are you going to ban me if I'm not even like, yeah, exactly. It's lame. And that's why everybody was mad, because now the developer didn't even finish that project's concept because he was disincentivized to, because it couldn't have been implemented. Open source will thrive, man. And I think the closed source thing is like, we need a monopoly on our idea, because people won't choose to use us, because we're going to really suck at customer service and customer relations. You know, the only reason people will come to us is because if we have a patent on our technology, so we can treat them like shit. And that's not going to be the use case coming soon. We're going to, with the way this decentralized shit works, we could steal any closed data that you have, any technology that you have put a patent on, any technology you've put a copyright on. We could put that shit on a blockchain, and you can't sue a blockchain. You can't sue Satoshi Nakamoto. You can't sue Bitcoin. So I think moving forward, open source will be mandatory by necessity. People will just start stealing intellectual property and implementing it just as easy as we share copyrighted files of movies and music and porn.
Yeah, like on torrent. So I think it's unavoidable. I think open source is superior, and I think in an evolutionary battlefield, it will pretty much always win out. I mean, that's one of the things I love about Bitcoin and other cryptos.
So the permissionlessness of it, right? That's what kind of drew me into it.
Immutable, permissionless, open source.
Exactly, dude. Exactly. How the fuck do you stay motivated? Because you got staying happy and motivated in here, and I do personally go through spells of seasonal depression, and it sucks. So yeah, bro. Let's talk about the pursuit of happiness.
I'm glad. I was thinking about bringing it back to that. I'm glad you went. And that's the best question, because it doesn't matter how rich you are. You can buy things that'll make you happy, but in the end, and Joe talks about that a lot. Let me refocus here. Well, okay, so me personally, I get depressed sometimes. Tools I use to counter it, I try and count my blessings, see what I'm grateful for. I love that I have all my fingers and arms.
Stay
and
humble.
limbs. I try and surround myself with people I aspire to be like. And I heard someone say that. I try and cut out I call them energy vampires. You can call it whatever you are. From my core circle, everyone's going through what they're going through. I believe everyone is trying to do their best. So I'm not trying to be overly judgmental, but from my core family who I surround myself with, be it physically or digitally, I try and surround myself with people who inspire me, because I think, it takes a village. We're all working together. Maybe we're more isolated, or maybe for sure we're more isolated these days, but we have the ability to surround ourselves with who we choose. And I know everyone has different environments, or you could say different privileges, so I don't want to argue that, but
yeah, I get stuck sometimes when you said, you start to count your blessings and stay humble and think about your good health and shit. And I ain't gonna I don't want a pity party or whatever, guys, but I don't feel like I deserve any of the shit that I have right now, and that makes me more depressed sometimes. Yeah, but of course observation would, right? People only see the work that I do and the effort I put out and stuff like that. But I don't know, man. Some of the times, when I'm hanging out with Justin's son at fucking Token 2049 in Hong Kong, because I have sponsors that fucking see value in me, that it just it's hard to sometimes, when you're depressed, think of those things and not get more depressed, because it's shit, man. Those energy vampires that you talk about, I used to be one. And I'm thankful for people like Omar Bam and Andreas Antonopoulos and people that didn't see me as much as a energy vampire, as much as I don't even know the better word, fuck, dude,
a person struggling,
a flower, you know what I mean? Yeah. A flower that they could. It's not that I'm consuming your raw material for better. I'm here to take out the carbon monoxide and produce some. I'm here to contribute with the resources that you give me. So when you mentioned the energy vampires, I kind of they're the people I fucks with the most, because you never know, out of those dozens of flowers may not be a weed, may actually be this new thing that rejuvenates the whole economy or the environment that you're in.
I'll 100% agree with that.
So I'm very grateful that to have come from the energy vampire side to now be in a position to where I have a blood bank that I can just here, guys, come on. That's why I do the open podcasts and want you to come on with and promote and do your thing too, because I only deserve as much as I give back. You know what I mean? I just don't feel like I've given back as much as I've been given yet.
Maybe not yet, and maybe you do. First, I just want to say I hear what you're saying, man. I hear what you just said, and I really appreciate it, and I agree with what you said. So I just want to say that. I want to say all these things, but I'm going to say I hear what you just said, dude. And just thank you, man. maybe you're right. Maybe you haven't given back as much as you've been given yet, but time's funny like that, right? Like
Yeah.
who knows what's going to happen. I mean, maybe I'll go on more podcasts, right? But maybe I'll never have I mean, dude, this is the best first podcast I could ever have been on, dude. You're so cool. We're just talking, I mean, we're talking about anything. I mean, this is amazing. So just with me personally in this one moment, if I'm ever on another podcast, which I think I will be, I won't be as nervous. Like I'll always look back on this fondly. Every time I'm on a podcast, if I'm 100 podcasts, probably every one of those podcasts, I'll think of this one. You know what I mean? So I guess what I'm trying to say is maybe we're not fully aware of what we give out. I think if you're trying to help people and you're trying to keep learning and evolve and not stay stagnant, which you mentioned earlier, I think it's amazing the things that we can accomplish.
Thank you, man.
And from my little knowledge of you, which now I'm really excited to grow more of, and I really trust my instincts. I believe in you, man. Like the energy that I see coming from you, man, your aura, bro, is looking real rainbowy in like a good way. You know what I'm saying?
Appreciate that. But yeah, like, well, to segue towards what I was getting to, like, as how I stay happy, right? Like, because that doesn't work for me is all I was saying. Like, I know what works for some may not work for others is all. I didn't mean to like, but no, like for what works for me is actually I try to find somebody that may not be happy as well and cheer them up, try to make them happy, and that shit fucks me up. It makes me happy. So like, like that's the whole thing. Like I think with comedians, like Robin Williams, rest his soul. Whenever you're depressed, find someone depressed, make them happy, and that will make you happier than making yourself happy ever will. Mm-hmm. So to make myself happy, I make others happy, and that makes me less depressed.
I like that. And that reminds me of a quote that I think is saying that. They said, whatever you feel is lacking in your life, go give that to someone.
Exactly. What you get, what you give, right? You get what you give.
If you ever feel like there's something really lacking in your life and you're like, man, I need this, I'm lacking this, people will usually go try and get that. Instead, go give that. And they said that's your quickest way to have that void filled.
Right. That's
I think that's what you just said.
Yes, I think I didn't even realize, but I think that's like exactly how I do. Like, it's weird, man. It's weird, but like, it works. And I don't know. It's kind of been like my antidepressant now for years, right? Just like thanks to like the internet, you can go out and see like somebody that may need somebody just to DM them, and you do, and you're like, damn man, thanks for talking. I'm like, you're welcome, bro. And like you're like, no, thank you.
I love that. And I would agree too that if someone didn't really do that and all they did was try and separate themselves from like needy people or people that were like energy vampires and they were only just trying to surround themselves with people that they were inspired, I think that's not balanced. Right. I think maybe there's some truth to that, to like be careful.
I'm not trying to piss you off, Omar Bam.
No.
I just got Omar Bam to follow me today back for the third time since I've been friends with him. Yeah, beep beep to that. So, but he did this thing where he stopped following everybody and only follows 100 people, or like, the cream of the crop quality people. Like, and I'm like, damn, like you just said, like that's just fucking your own self up a little bit. Like, and and being a little less contributive as you are consumptive, right? Like, I don't know. It's just like, not talking shit on Omar. I fucking love you. It's just like that was something I could compare it to, right? Like when people on Twitter decide to only follow 100 people, no matter what, they put that hard number out there, or they only follow people that have a lot of followers. They don't follow people that have 5 followers, even though they tweet quality content. It just fucks me up a little bit.
I think he's probably just experimenting with all these different ways, where like we're trying to succeed on social media, and I mean, it's all good.
It's all an experiment, man, and everyone's got to do their own for sure. Like me, I actually do the thing now where if you follow me, I'll follow you back. Like, fuck it. I want to follow my followers to see what you're doing, and then I'll unfollow you. I give you a chance. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it's great, man. It's cool that everyone is trying to like do their way and have their own permutation, and then the sort of like more successful things can become emergent.
Right, and that's where I think like that whole like symbiotic versus parasitic environment comes from. Not everybody can contribute as much. Like, that universal basic income fucks with a lot of people's heads because they can contribute a lot more to society than you can. I'm a fucking heart surgeon. I can fix lives and hearts, and I can do microsurgeries. And how am I supposed to be okay with some dude, picking up horseshit, getting the same income as me? It's not fair. It's not fair. I changed the world more than you. I deserve more of the world because I make the world better more than you do. I get more privileges than you. You know, I hate elitism, and I hate the whole construct that it's monetizable. Like, you can monetize elitism and people are fucking cool with it. And I mean, like, medical marijuana is the biggest form of monetized elitism that will ever exist. How many people have medical marijuana cards that don't rightfully deserve it? They have migraines or they can't sleep at night, but they're privileged enough to be able to afford that license.
The doctor visit.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. But there's people
License.
that genuinely fucking need that shit, but they can't because there's a monetized means to get that resource. And paywalls, and they're only paywalls because people are willing to fucking pay them. It's fucked up. It's fucking annoying. Stop paying the paywalls and they'll dis-fucking-peer. They won't build the wall. They won't build it.
I like how passionate you are about all this stuff, man. That's very powerful and contagious, you know, contagious enthusiasm. What art form, I thought this earlier, what art form, if you could just like get a genie wish, any medium, what art form would you use one of your genie wishes on to become like good at that art medium?
Ooh, I would say I would be able to say entertaining a crowd. Not entertaining a crowd, but being able to, the art of holding a crowd. Being able to
Attention.
walk into a room with 10,000 people and all 10,000 eyes are for you and you alone, and what you produce is consumed by all 10,000 eyes in a different way, but the byproduct, the takeaway that all 10,000 people leave with is identical. And that's that shit that, like, you know, Kevin Hart and other amazing comedians have, like
George
Robin
Carlin.
Williams, George Carlin, and then you have singers that are on stage, like fucking Queen, all the way up to fucking Eminem, and you know they hold these crowds, and then you have speakers like Andreas Antonopoulos, right? Like that's really what it's getting down to. I just wish that like that art right there, to be able to create information in a way that is consumable to the masses.
Yeah.
I have a very niche way of communicating my information, so I have a very niche audience to consume that form of art. My podcast, you know, I'm only, you know, hitting a small demographic because I don't know how to create my information in a way that would be more digestible to the masses.
I would not disagree with you. All I would say is that I think your ability or level of communication is actually really high. And I'm not saying it's not niche, but I think you'd be surprised how your ability to communicate will probably evolve in the next couple of years.
I'm trying to manifest it, you know, and that's where
I want to read you
I wanted
something,
to get back to the motivated part too. Like how I even stay motivated is, you know, I try to meditate. I should have closed the window, but my apartment was really hot.
It's all
I'm
good. Let's
sorry,
stay
guys.
real, dude. Let's keep it real up in this beach.
I live in the ghetto, okay? As you have
Where do you
heard
live?
many times, I live in the ghetto of New Jersey, as far as I'll
New
dox
Jersey?
myself.
Nice.
Yeah.
I've never been there. I live in Oregon.
Oregon. What the fuck's going down in Oregon?
Dude, we got let's see, we got trees. We got some good water, some nice weather, some cute hippie girls.
Oh, well.
I'm a fan.
The
I'm a
hippie
fan.
girls.
All right, I just pasted a meme into the chat, and I'm just going to read you a little blurb of it. It's called "How to Be a Successful Artist," and it says, "Make and study art X hours per week, research art marketing techniques Y hours per week, and implement art marketing techniques Z hours per week." And it gives a little example. So, for example, make art 30 hours a week, research art marketing techniques 5 hours a week, and implement these art marketing techniques 8 hours per week. The key is doing this week after week, because then your art just doesn't get better, but your grasp of how to sell the art gets better, and you actually take the time to do the marketing. And since you keep researching it week after week, your techniques don't stagnate. And, you know, there's myriad techniques, and you can do whatever you like, but really it's like taking a few different jobs and skills and synthesizing it. So even though that's talking about like making something like a painting or something, I think it would still apply to what you just said, this art of like communication.
So to get deep on you, how do we stop that pursuit of that education, right? Of how to do those things, right? Without changing who we are. Like, how do I stop myself from not being myself anymore to create that content that is consumable for the masses? You know, like by watching Omar, I am inspired by him, and then I try to create content like him, and I'm no longer myself anymore. I'm not or in a sense, I'm no longer myself anymore. Not as a whole, but it's just ingredients.
Yeah,
And
I feel
as you take those inspirational techniques and critique them into your own algorithm, right? It becomes more mainstream and consumable, and it fits more of that mold because you're going to the mold and you're consuming the mold's algorithms, and you're implementing them. But like, I kind of intentionally don't pursue that because I want what I'm doing naturally to just, not saying like out of arrogance. I'm not saying like I'll be the best basketball player ever and I don't have to practice. What I'm saying is I don't have to be the best basketball player ever and have to watch every game Michael Jordan played in.
No, you're gonna do you.
Right, exactly, and hope that it works and keep practicing at doing me and doing me better, me without much investigation to how other people do themselves so well. Because like
Richard James did that.
I look at Gary V, right? Gary Vaynerchuk and people like Tony Robbins, and the whole like I'm not your guru. It's real, and you shouldn't take what other people do to succeed and actually implement too much of that into your own algorithms of life. I feel like we just need to keep focusing on our own algorithms more. But like, I don't want to disagree too much with what you said, but I think I would probably do like 80% art and then 20% critiquing my own art to make my own art better as a consumer of my own art. Like, I would watch my own podcast after this and be like, damn, I rambled a lot and didn't let my guests talk enough.
No, I wouldn't agree with that. But I would agree with what you just said before that. And I think it is important. I think everyone will find their own balance. Like, some people will go and study the super pop and study the super mainstream and then, project the mainstream more. But then the other thing I'd say is, you use the example of like watch Omar and then do things more like him as just an example. But I think, we aren't just ourselves. I think we really are sort of like a conglomeration of all these different people and all these different, experiences that we've had. And then it's super valid to make a choice like that and to so like Richard James, Aphex Twin, he did this double album called Drugs, and I guess he locked himself away for 2 years and didn't listen to anyone's music. So for 2 years, this dude whose like life is music didn't listen to anyone's music and then just made the craziest album ever. So I would totally say that's a valid and powerful way of doing things.
Yeah, dude, when we start to look at the collective consciousness concept and the way we see the world moving, it's starting to move more to a conformed agreement of a singularity. And we're seeing, I think, less creativity, less implementation of the weird. That's why I love the concept of keep crypto weird, keep thinking outside the box, keep fighting the constructs, because that's how things move and progress. And like, not listening to somebody do, not watching how everybody did their ICO for 2 years and then figure out how to use this technology in your own way to make your own company would be more beneficial to the entire environment than just following the pursuit that everybody else did. They went ICO, they did this thing, they did that thing.
Totally.
Look at the technology, fundamentally what it is, research it, understand it, know that you have a goal, you need to raise capital for it, and then maybe you come up with the same idea, maybe you come up with something totally new and never thought of before. But because we have this internet, because we have this way to really like deep dive into things and how they are done and steal that and implement it, we're seeing more and more singularity than we are more and more individuality, unfortunately. I mean, like, everyone's getting Bitcoin crypto tattoos now. You know what I mean? Like, would you have done that on your own if you never saw anybody else? Or are you inspired? Are you being, subjective to your environment? Or are you being contributive and constructive to your environment? Or is your environment growing because of your feet on the ground, or are your feet on the ground being changed by the ground that it's on, is what I'm saying.
I think it's always going to be a bit of both, but then the question becomes, are you going to do 80% of one, 80% of the other, 50-50, 90-10? So I think it'll always have a bit of both, just because that's the nature of being part of this global civilization and societies. But I think you're absolutely right. And I think you almost need some people to do it one way and some people do another.
And that's why I force myself to do this the way I do it myself. And I know it's not working the fastest. I know my following has 11,000 subscribers on YouTube, but I hit 100 views per video. And I know I could do what other YouTubers do to get more views. I know that it would work because everybody else does what they do and implements it, and it works for them. And people that have started a YouTube channel a year ago have passed my YouTube channel that's been around for 4 years or 3 years now. So it's like, I don't know, it's hard, but it's also almost like what motivates me to keep being myself, because I don't want others to change me as much as I, you know, a hubris as much as I want to change others. You know, I want to contribute more change than I consume change. So when I walk on the ground, I want my footprint to be deeper than the callus in my foot.
Whoa. It blew my mind, man.
I was I
I mean,
ain't
I
gonna
think you
lie, I
should,
took some
bro. I
LSD
think you
last
should.
night, so I'm still riding that wave right now.
Nice. Well, you're super clear and lucid. I think you should, in my opinion. I mean, I think the best thing that anyone can do is just like pursue their own passion. And yeah, some people might have like detrimental passions, but okay,
Yeah,
maybe
no.
we won't talk about. I'm not going to talk about that, but I'm just saying, like, if you have a passion that is
Detrimental
adding,
passion could be fucking skydiving, dude. It could be bungee jumping. It could be
yeah,
swimming with sharks. It could be doing heroin. It could be
I can't
whatever.
judge which passions are good and which aren't. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So I will say I think the best thing someone could do is pursue their passion like fervently, man. Like, yeah, so what? You could have more subscribers or do it faster, but would you be happy? You know what I mean? And
right.
what if you do stick with like what you're feeling, and then what if one day it does blow up the way that you're talking about, and you did it like from your heart? I mean, I think that's the way.
I'm inspired by people like Joe Rogan, who has never conformed to anything and has probably lost more sponsorship dollars than anybody in their lives. This dude stays so himself that people are afraid to fucking work with him. And that's kind of how I want to be. I don't want people to think that they can just use me as a puppet if they are a sponsor. You know, like I want to be feared of being so unique and unconstrictive to, you know, opinion, right? Like people's opinion of me, may positive or negative, doesn't affect the way I act. And John McAfee posted a tweet and was talking about like how like he has basically I can't remember word for word, so I won't, but my comment, basically a takeaway, was self-censorship due to the perception of others for further gaining yourself. Are you going to censor what your opinion is only because of how you're going to perceive me and how that perception will affect my personal gain? That's fucking the most profound form of censorship that we have in society. We censor ourselves for others to benefit ourselves. If we were to get rid of that filter and just be ourselves and not self-censor, right? Like, you know, maybe you may end up lighting a cigarette in a bar where there's no smoking, but nobody's gonna fucking kill you for it. You know what I'm saying? Like, just, you don't have to like live your life like everybody else and live your life in fear of how everybody else's life will affect yours. And self-censorship scares me, man, because I find myself doing it sometimes.
Yeah, me too.
And I go a little bit too far, and people sometimes will take it the wrong way a lot. And it gets me nervous. It does. But it's like, that's just your perception of me projecting myself. That's not who I am. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
if you say or do something in context, that perception of that act isn't the end result of it. It isn't the inspiration or where it came from. It's weird, man. So I don't know. I just don't want to see people censoring themselves just to benefit themselves due to the fear of prosecution of others. If you're gonna censor yourself, do it out of the respect of others, not because you want to benefit from others.
Bro.
So don't light up that
Hallelujah.
cigarette because there's a kid sitting next to you at the bar. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to say smoking in a restaurant is illegal if everybody were to just realize that if I'm smoking in this restaurant, I'm fucking with 90% of the people that don't, and I wouldn't want that, right? So we don't have to implement law. We don't have to self-censor if we self-regulate, if that makes sense.
Yep. I actually have a quote. I think I made it up, but I mean, it's probably been said before. So my quote on that subject is, there's a fuzzy line between self-censorship and tact. Blurry line between self-censorship and tact. And yeah, sometimes maybe exercise a little tact. Sometimes don't censor yourself. So I would agree with what you're saying. And that's one of the biggest things I've worked on and that I still need to work on. So I really appreciate you bringing that up.
It's hard as fucking
I
podcasting. It's really hard.
Yeah, I bet.
Because you're like looking at the chat, you got the views, you're like, this is going to be on the internet forever. And even if I delete it, somebody copied it, it will be out there somewhere. And it's like, I don't give a fuck. Like, would you interact in the real world, in IRL environment, in a conversation, if there was nothing like recording you? And it's that whole observation affects the object, and it's facts. It's facts. As soon as the camera starts rolling, it kind of did change, right? Like a little bit, like right,
A little bit. Actually,
right.
I was happy how little it did, but I mean, still, it was palpable.
Just a
You did a good
little
job
bit.
warming me up.
Thank you, thank
Yeah, yeah.
you. But it
So
is
thank
though,
you.
right? Like we feel like we were just in a room all by ourselves, probably like a bedroom, just sitting down on the bed, hanging out, watching Netflix and chilling, and then all of a sudden the door opens and 1,000 people walked in, and all they did was watch us hang out. Why would that affect any other scenario? Why are we now uncomfortable that we're just being observed? There's nobody physically affecting our interaction. Nobody can yell while we're talking. They can't interrupt us. You know, nobody can affect us, but it is affecting us. It's crazy, man. It fucking blows my mind sometimes how like digital observation affects physical IRL object.
It's probably all digital. That's the thing. Probably even the
We're
physical.
all
is the form.
digital.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. That's factual. Factual. That I mean, it's true though. I mean, like look at how we've seen even celebrities to politicians to influencers to thought leaders act when they don't know they're being recorded, and in their political histories as every video they've ever been in as one other character. It's different. People, it may not be like they're trying to act. Like a lot of people are like, oh, they're putting on an act. I'm like, no, they're being themselves. They're being themselves with a fucking 5 million eyeballs on them. They themselves have physically now changed in reality because 5 million people are observing an object instead of just themselves in a room with the door closed, or just me and you observing each other. 10,000 people observing us right now while we're talking is affecting us. The fact that we're acknowledging it is affecting it. So yeah, the digital observation affecting the physical outcome is probably another proof in the fact that we are in some sort of a virtual environment.
What if all your ancestors are observing you?
How so?
I guess you can get lost in what ifs though.
Yeah.
What if? Wait, what?
I was like, well, I mean, like if I knew or if I didn't know, because if they are,
Yeah.
then they are, and everything has been because of it. But the difference is, does the object know or not know that it's being viewed? That's what I meant about the politicians acting when they don't know there's eyes on them. It's not that they may not be acting. Maybe that's just who they are and who they are with the object being observed. And sometimes people are like, PewDiePie probably swears he's not putting on an act. That's who he is, but it's probably who he is when the camera's on, as opposed to who he is when the camera's not on. He is himself.
Yeah.
That's true. It's not a character. It's not a facade, but it is an object being observed, and that observation is affecting the object. It's changing it in that moment, and then it goes back. Doesn't mean that it's permanently changed or permanently altered or not what it used to be or is something different. An object is an object, like in that moment. Look away, look at it. I love to talk about Schrodinger's box at conferences. I don't know if you fucks with that.
I mean, a little bit basic knowledge.
I talk about it at Bitcoin conferences a lot because I look at everything in crypto as the cat in the box, and it's like Schrodinger's scam. And we don't know what is or isn't a scam until you open the box and see if the cat is or isn't dead. Everything in crypto right now is in that box, and we have to believe that it's alive to will that into a possibility. If we all want to, with that mass group consciousness and an observation affecting the object, if all the eyes looking at it are manifesting that belief, the outcome will be there. So, as we've seen the Bitcoin community grow and, support Bitcoin, we've seen it may not be others believing in us as much as they're believing with us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like my family may not have to believe in me and believe in Bitcoin, but they're believing with me in Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry guys. Didn't mean to get too weird. Weird there. Do you want to do anything? You want to ask me anything before we wrap things up? You have any other questions? You ever most embarrassing childhood memory?
You asking me or want me to ask you?
I'll tell you mine if you tell me yours.
I have to think of it. I would.
All right,
I
I'll
don't know
go
what it is.
first. I think about this all the time. So if you don't think about it all the time, it may not be the most embarrassing moment in your childhood. But I was 10 years old, and in I think the 5th grade. I think that sounds about the right number. And I was invited to an all-girl sleepover. See, like me growing up, I always
Nice.
like the weird guy. I got picked on a lot. I didn't like sports. I wasn't into all that shit. I played Pokemon cards, and I had mostly girls that were friends. It's not that I was feminine in nature. I'm not, particularly feminine now or flamboyant in many ways. I think my color and dress maybe, but I like women. Physically attracted to women. So anyway, I was young. I was invited to an all-girl sleepover. It was me and like 12 girls. 12 girls. And I did this whole like song and dance, and I was like by Shaggy, It Wasn't Me. Like, it was awesome. I owned the sleepover. It was a sleepover party, by the way. And I woke up and I pissed the bed that we all shared.
Oh, that's rough, bro.
At 10 years old, I wet the bed at an all-girl sleepover with like probably 5 girls in the same bed as me. We had like 3 mattresses. It was a big slumber party. And I believe the girl's name at the time that had me sleep over was Lauren, and she had 2 brothers, which was why I was basically invited. I was one of like the family, I was like,
Yeah.
but her brother David and I can't remember her other brother's name for some reason right now. But this was when I was 10 years old, 20 years ago, and it was like the most embarrassing time in my fucking life. But them making fun of me but still being my friends made my skin so thick for the rest of my life that like nothing really bothers me. Like, when a friend says something that should be offensive, I don't really get offended, even if they mean offense. It's like I'm too calloused up by like loved ones mocking me so much that like I was so close with these girls, and they never like shunned me out of the group of friendship, but they did not stop busting my balls my entire life until I moved into a new state and just got away from that. Thankfully, this was before MySpace and before Facebook and before Twitter, because it probably would still be going on. But luckily, because of that embarrassing moment in my life, I am who I am today because of it. That most of the time that I feel like things that should bother me don't, and I actually have to sit back and be like, shit, did they mean to offend me, and should that have offended me, and should I allow it to offend me, or are they just being a friend and making like a jab? Like, sometimes I can't fucking tell. So like, I'll be following people on Twitter that genuinely don't like me, and I don't get that they don't like me, because I think of it as like, brotherly love, that they're just trolling out of love, but they just don't like me. I'm like, oh, well, you could have just said that. I couldn't tell the difference.
That's awesome. I had no idea that's where that story was going to go. Man, when you said, but that made my skin so thick, and that's what's like propelled me through my life and giving me this thick skin, that hit me hard.
Dude,
man.
I wore pink pants in middle school. Dude, I wore UFOs, the Underground Freak Organization, pink poofy pants. I wore tight pink. My first day in high school, freshman year, I moved to New Jersey, and I was like, you know what? Everybody's gonna fuck with me, because I didn't go to middle school with none of these motherfuckers. My mom thought I was crazy. This is a true story. My mom thought I was insane freshman year of high school. I'm like, no one's gonna fuck with me unless I let them fuck with me. So I wore my pink parachute pants, 14 years old, at freshman school orientation. I wore a pink skirt over the pink pants. I had a Pink Panther t-shirt on that was like super tight that my nipples were like poking through it. And I had my hair blue and pink and Liberty spikes in different directions with a black collar on with a spike in the middle.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure I had black nail polish and eyeliner on, and I went to school the first day like that. And that was, I didn't go to school every day like that, but I went to school the first day like that. Everybody thought it was funny. Everybody was making jokes in orientation and trolling me, and it was great. And then I just went to school every day the regular way, and it was like, how are you gonna make fun of me now? Like, what?
Dude, that's crazy.
You're gonna make fun of my shoes? I came to school in a skirt the first day. I took that from you, bitch. I owned all your jokes day one. Try to make fun of me. Oh yeah, pink hair. Yeah, I know. I did that in school first. Or all of that. Like that's nothing compared to what I did the first day.
Wow, man.
You gotta own that shit.
That's probably one of my biggest issues, is having like a thick skin, And I might not even like lash back out or like react, but I'm just like, ugh, and I wish I could just, just like not let it in so deep. That's really cool that experience with those girls and then like rippled off like that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't think I didn't know I would ever talk about that, but I don't know if that changed their lives as much as it did mine. Like I wonder if anybody left that party with like a fear of having somebody piss the bed, and like their whole life they didn't want to share a bed with somebody. Like
Or they wanted it.
Like, or they wanted it. Holy shit, I could have gave somebody a fetish. Fuck. Like, you know what I mean? Like that again. That's the takeaway I had from that experience, but there was other people that experienced the same experience I had with many other different takeaways.
Different perspectives, different
Right.
takeaways.
Different impacts, minor or major.
I don't have a story that epic about. I mean, I don't even remember. I think any embarrassing stuff I've like tried to like forget
Black
it.
out, right? I
Yeah.
own it, man. Like most of me is like you know how the Hulk is like my secret is like I always stay angry. It's like
Hmm.
I probably always stay depressed. It sucks, and I'm like my biggest critic. I hate everything I do. I judge myself in the moment and all this other shit, like blah blah blah. But it's like one of my biggest superpowers too. It motivates me to keep pissing myself off, you know, by being myself. You know, it's like uh I don't know, like scuba diving or something. Like I'm terrified of the ocean, so I trolled myself by jumping into a fucking middle of the ocean with nothing but a snorkel on. Like it was stupid. I had a panic attack, and then I jumped right back in to do it again because I had to break that. So like I troll myself on purpose. Like I say, I stay uncomfortable. You know, when you know that there's something that you know whatever, I find that thing and I just throw myself at it until I break through it. And I think that's like what I do with depression. I just keep throwing myself through it until I break through it and come out stronger.
That sounds like the way to do it, man.
It works, and that's why it's seasonal. You know, sometimes you have to go back, and there's or not go back, but sometimes there's another roadblock in the pursuit of your happiness that you can't back down from. You're gonna have to keep breaking through those roadblocks. So depression isn't like a one-time thing, or getting over depression isn't something that you can just implement over and over again. There's different things that will cause depression that you're going to have to find different ways to solve that problem, and that's by basically taking depression on head on. Like when I start to get depressed, dude, I just take it on head the fuck on. I own it. You know, my girl left me and I cried like a little bitch about it for a while. I sobbed about it on Twitter and shit. I sulked. I didn't make YouTube videos, but like I dove into it. I just accepted the depression. I went and sulked, but that was the grieving process, and that's how I got stronger. Now, I was with her for 10 years. I don't think there's going to be a single
Wow.
person in my life that could ever do that again. So now, not just my skin is thicker, but my heart or soul, spirit, like
Yeah.
has now been thicker from that experience
Yeah.
because I accepted it, right? It's like I could have put it away and tucked it and just like ignored it, but it wouldn't have bettered me. So my advice would be like, dude, face whatever the fuck is bothering you head on, dude, and
Yeah.
crush it, own it, and make it your bitch.
I like that. I like that. That's the way, man.
All right, man. I think we should head out on that note, guys. I think
Just make it your bitch, dude.
make it your bitch, and let everybody know where they can find you on the internet, bro, and let them know about your project and what it's up and you know what they can get from going to your website, and give them the elevator pitch, man.
At Patches Flows everywhere. I make art. I make music. I make memories. I just put out a fire spinning, sort of psychedelic fire spinning videos, my latest video. And I'm
you
loving learning from everyone.
Spinning fire
So-
on psychedelics.
Well, actually, so we did that a lot. And then what I wanted to do was make a couple videos that illustrated what that was like.
Oh shit, that's powerful.
So what I did was just
But that's
use a
what
lot
it's
of,
like for you.
yeah, for the spinner who's
That's
tripping
dope.
balls. And
That
spinning
is
balls.
dope.
So I used a lot of chroma key and then put the soundtrack to Winamp visualizations and then, capture the visualizations and then put them under with the chroma key. And it took me
Damn.
forever.
Yo, this dude's up to some shit, guys. Go check out patchesflows.com, and don't
Thanks,
forget,
man.
there's 500,000 Satoshis, right? Half a
baby,
million?
half a million
Half a
Satoshis
million
in that
Satoshis.
beatbox, if you can decode it. And
It's
I'll put
around
out
the half-hour mark of the first hour.
nice, dude. I'll put out a clue every 24 hours if no one gets it.
Yeah, so if you need some clues to get yourself half a million Satoshis, you're going to want to follow Patches Flows. So patchesflows.com, it may pay off. All right, guys, don't forget, if you enjoyed this podcast, please like it, share it. And I try to encourage people to leave comments and try to keep the conversation going. So after the video, anything that you've taken away, anything that you want to just drop some comments, and let's make this more than a two-man conversation. And we're going to open source the conversation now, and we're going to do it by saying, have a day.
Have a day. Thanks again, Ken. Love what
Thank
you do.
bro.